Look at that, Mr. Z kind of sort of being on time today, right? Um, so I'm gonna bring up the panel in a little bit. I wanted to cover this first. I'll speak about some of the other things that I covered earlier this week. So this is partially a weekly wrap up also. Um, but me and Rogish have been, and shout out to the brother Rogish. Once again, thank you for sharing this. Greatly done. Hopefully, you guys were able to check out the link in the description. If not, I highly suggest it, especially for those of you that are kind of like into Japanese culture, um, into JRPGs, into RPGs in general, but definitely JRPGs. For those of you that don't know, that's Japanese role playing games. Which Mr. Z, I'm not into all of them, but I do have a thing for like Star Ocean and the Final Fantasy series. Like as I said before, um I've played and beaten Final Fantasy 7, 8, 9, 10, 10 to 12, 13, 13 to and 14. Yeah. Wait, no, not 14. Sorry, that's when they brought it back to MMO. And 15, I want to say 15. Yes. So I've literally played and beaten all of those Final Fantasies. I've been playing Star Ocean since PlayStation 1, right? Um, right, and just a host of other JRPGs, et cetera, et cetera. And I've, played them to varying degrees. A couple I've beaten, some I haven't. So, um, what made this I want to say documentary, but video essay, really, really dope is, shout out to Mooney. That's his kind of nickname online. But it's the Moon Channel, or it's just called Moon Channel. Um, Shout out to Mooney. He walks you through Chinese, ancient Chinese, modern Chinese, ancient Japanese, modern Japanese, religion, and culture, and walks you right up to where we are now. And the slaying of gods, you know, um, is very interesting, right? The way it's interpreted in their culture, in more Eastern or um, Far East cultures, right? The way I read God and the way it's referred to, um, Big Kev says, and thank you for the super chat. Big Kev says, I saw the Gran Turismo movie, pretty good. I still didn't see it. Right? I told you I was gonna go see it, and I didn't see it because my lady wanted to watch the Blue Beetle, which was also pretty funny. It was straight. It was straight. It was straight. And so instead of watching Gran Turismo, because it was her birthday, so she got to choose, we went to go see Blue Beetle. So Gran Turismo is on the list of things that I need to see. So Big Kev beat me to go watch the movie about cars, and my name is Mr. Z, literally named after a car. I'm just saying. I'm embarrassed. Big Kev beat me to the finish line, and he wasn't even trying, right? So, the way I see the word God um, used in this is more of ideology. And for those of you that checked out the link in the description, y'all let me know if I'm kind of off base in that. God, lowercase g God, as ideology, right? And it's watching as one God gets slain by another. So one ideology gets slain by another is interesting. And you can tie that to the US and Western powers forcing the East to open up its markets, particularly Japan and China, right? China, well, in this case, mainly Japan, but Japan and China, forcing them to open up their markets. Japan in particular, right? As the U.S. came back, hey, y'all gonna trade with us? No, no, okay, all right. Moments later, y'all gonna trade with us now? No, 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 okay. One more game. Y'all gonna trade with us now? No, okay. All right. Kick in the door, waving the fofo. Y'all gonna trade with us now, though? Oh, yes, you are, because you don't have a choice, right? So, um, and what that brought about, right? Paging nameless, and This is kind of the beginning um, of modern Japan, right? Modern Japan. So, um, as I said before, I see the gods and the way it's described in this documentary as an ideology, right? Um, and as Mooney was saying, and he's actually pretty good at this, and I would argue the nameless protagonist is pretty good at this also. It's understanding the complexities of Japanese culture and the metaphors, right? It's understanding the metaphors, right? And so I have here in my notes, in Eastern philosophy, killing gods is a social metaphor, a complicated social metaphor. So Mooney said that also, right? Mooney said that I thought it, and I was typing it in my notes as he was saying it, right? So um yeah, it's a complicated social metaphor. So the god represents something bigger than just slaying a god, right? It's an ideology, And Mooney uses Frieza from Dragon Ball Z as a reference point, saying one of the creators or the creator of Dragon Ball Z, Frieza was inspired by home speculators, housing market speculators, right, in Japan. So that's very interesting. You see how kind of out there we get, where the Frieza character in Dragon Ball Z was inspired by housing speculators. That's crazy, right? But that's how far out there they get with the metaphors, right? What else do I have here? So this is something we're definitely gonna have to cover again, as I kind of grapple with this, right? And actually, what I think is an interesting and important in this is, what do we see as gods now? What's the prevailing ideology now, right? What's the prevailing ideology now, like the lowercase g god that most, if not all, if not a significant number of people in the West, in America in particular, believe in now, right? That's what I was kind of grappling with. What's the new, and like I would say technology. I would like throwing some random stuff out there. I would say technology. Better you said I would argue the dollar, but that's like a given. No better you, right? Like that's like that's on your nose. Like that's a given. But I would say technology. I would say social media as the lowercase g gods, right? Um, I said the other day progress, right? I would say progress also, obviously. Um, and as a matter of fact, I said that what a week ago, that progress is one of the things that we worship in the West. This coming off of World War II, the especially coming off of World War II, the idea that every generation will just automatically do better than the others, right? Indigo says money, that's a given. Grab second gear says capitalism, definitely. Boy, you better worship capitalism, or Uncle Sam gonna come knocking on your door with the with the agents about to overthrow you and fund some militia group in your country to murk your ass. Make it seem like it was a revolt. Yeah, that's it. Wink, wink, nod, nod. Um, right. So it's something I'm really concerned. What's the lowercase g gods that we worship now? And here's a good one. That is what y'all gonna love this question. What and who are the false gods in our society? Right. Now I know somebody gonna say black women. Stop it. Let me beat you to the punch. Stop it. Right. But and when I say gods, I'm read ideology more. Like say what you were gonna say anyway, but I'm really leaning towards what is the false prophet ideologies that we believe in now. that either y'all want to see slain or you think is is overdue to be slain. Like, yeah, this has got to go, right? Ooh, better you, Leon. See, that's why I said no women. Leon said matriarchy, but for the black community, definitely, right? And better you says, the neoliberal world order spreading truth, justice, the American way, and freedom. That neoliberal world order. Ooh, this is good. The brother with the onk sign. I'm gonna just say the brother with the onk sign. That's what we're just gonna call you. The brother with the onk sign. And he says technocrats and technocracy. Ooh. So the technocrats are the kind of social designers, thinkers, movers. And yeah, so you're saying they're the false gods? You wouldn't see them more as like prophets that are reading history wrong? That's something to think about, right? Trail said the god of swag. Oh, we just gave the god of swag his name a couple, like not even a full 2 decades ago, right? The god of swag just got his name. Okay, we wasn't using the word swag like that. Like, when did when did swag become like a term that was not the ideal, but the word, right? Like it was a little bit before the MIA remix song, right? First of all, I like the original more than the remix, but and for those of you that don't know, MIA is like this British kind of poppy rapper, South Asian chick, South Asian woman, and that's where Ti and them got the remix from. Swagger Like Us is from a clip of her original song, which has the gunshots in the background, and then um anyway, I just lost my train of thought. But anyway, yeah. So yeah, for those of you that don't know, Rogus, you got to come up later. You got to come up when I open the panel. What's going on with Rogus? Yeah. So you know these false gods, right? And definitely Raj, because Raj has a idea about God that I think is interesting, right? These false gods that we worship, and when I say gods, read ideology, right? We read worldview, and not just yours. I mean the prevailing worldview, right? The overarching worldview, a worldview that many, if not most, or a significant amount of people believe in, and they see that as the lowercase g god that they worship to. So, like I said earlier, like if you think about it, think about how we use technology. Think about how we use our cell phone, right? And think of like when I see false prophets, I think of social media content creators that are spreading a horrible message. I look at some of these, like when I made the video a few months ago speaking about what's her face again? The white woman that tricked all them and bamboozled them with the money. Her face is right there. The wannabe Steve Jobs, right? Um, God damn, how did I forget her name? Her face is right there too with her fake ass deep voice. Um, you look at what she was engaging in. These are like false gods, right? False prophets. Elizabeth Home, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, Nema, right? Well, not even false gods, sorry. Maybe false prophets, right? I also was thinking about American gods as I watched this. Thank you, Toya. Elizabeth Holmes, right? I was also thinking about American Gods, which I did not watch, but I did watch a bunch of clips from, especially like the noteworthy clips. Shout out to the brother that played Anansi. That's all of our favorite clips from American Gods, right? Because from my understanding, he by far and away stole the show. Um, but yeah, I thought about American Gods, like, and when I'm saying gods, that might be the way I'm leaning when I'm saying gods with the lowercase g, right? And and how American gods use the ideology, right? And it's whatever people believe in enough can become a god. So there was a god of technology, right? And Venom says that clip got him kicked off the show, and that was yo, dude had so many fire clips. He had so many fire clips, but especially when they were in what the morgue. That right there, that one right there, that was the one. I see one, two, three African gods. Yeah, that was the one. I can't do the African. I can't do the West African accent. I'm sorry, I can't do it. But right. Ooh, Leon said oil. We worship oil. That's a good one. Orlando Jones. Thank you, Naaman. Yeah, the brother Orlando Jones. That one, two, three African gods. That's the clip right there. I think the studio was like, yeah, we got to get him up out of here. Abort mission, right? And so, as I said, what do we worship? Um, there's another thing to say. Towards the end of this video essay, Mooney talked about uncaring, soul-crushing system, right? And no, he didn't say that. That's how I took it. Actually, that's what's in my notes. That's how I took it. Or did he say it? Either way, uncaring, soul-crushing system, right? But I wouldn't say better use says oil is like crack to America. I say is oil is literally the fuel that causes the entire economy to move. Oil is in everything. It helps everything in our society. Like when I say I can't even put it into words how much products we take for granted that either oil needed to transport the materials or oil is in the material or oil is it's so difficult because like when I try to envision a world without oil, it's so difficult to envision that world because of how crucial oil is to the global economy right now. When they say black gold, it really is. Like when they say liquid gold, it really is. It like even more so because gold is not necessarily a necessity. We didn't build a whole entire economy off of gold like we did once upon a time, but not anymore. Oil is that, right? Oil is definitely that, right? That's definitely, something to think about. Um, Also, Mooney speaks about the broken social contract. So this is where Z and I would argue Rogish and many of the rest of us are coming from. So this, and especially as you know, those of us that are in the Black Manosphere and that consume Black Manosphere content, this is where we come in. The broken social contract, right? So once again, a slain ideology, right? A fallen god. I would argue many of us are here because of that either broken social contract, somebody defecated on the social contract, somebody tore up the social contract in front of our face. Particularly as Black men, part of the Black Manosphere, we got to see the end of this, right? The end of the social contract is much right. Passport OG is in here. I would love for you to come up, Passport OG, if you can, to kind of give us an idea of what's going on in Japan, like the culture of Japan right now, whether it's as nihilistic as many of us in the West think it is, or are the Japanese just living their life and whatever happens happens type thing, right? But I think the social contract, the shredding of the social contract is why, and I put women in this too, Black women even. This is why everyone in the West, in many respects, and not everyone, but just a phrase, but is running around here with their hair on fire. People don't know what to do, right? That shredding of the social contract between corporations and the state, between the state and its citizens, between the citizens and the corporations, that shredding of the social contract, or is it just me? Am I putting too much on it? Am I the one saying it's a shredding of the social contract, and it really hasn't? Is it because I'm a working class man and I'm perceiving it that way, and it really isn't? Or do you guys see the same thing Mr. Z sees? Right? That what I argue is much of the reason why the Black Manosphere even exists is because many of us had a very visceral awakening to the shredding of that social contract, right? And when you hear me saying social contract, that is a agreed upon God, lowercase g God, that caused us to wake up in the morning and go to work and do what air quotes what you're supposed to do. But that heaven that you were promised, well, didn't come to fruition, right? I would also, Mr. Z, got to do it because I got to take digs at capitalism every chance I get. Um, the god of capitalism, especially over the past 40 some odd years, 50 years, a certain brand of capitalism, right? You could slot this in the subsect religion, right? Neoliberalism, right? Free markets. And what does that mean for your society? Okay, fine. Nothing wrong with free market. What does the free market look like when you trickle it down to everyday people? See with me, Trell? Trell says, shout out to Gordon Gecko. Greed is good. Greed is good, right? Talking about that exactly. What does this form of neoliberalism look like when you trickle it down to everyday people? Now, they may not be able to articulate it, and I want to stress that I would argue that for many of us, we are not able to articulate exactly why we're doing the things we're doing, but we're doing it, right? For the good and bad of it. And that's all of us. That includes Z, right? What I got from this also is seeing Japan as the canary in the coal mine, right? That is why Z speaks about the population decline in Japan. I would argue that's why BGS, Roguish, Nameless also speak about it. That is also why we speak about the stagnant economy that Japan has had for the past 3 decades. We see Japan and the social ills, and you're talking about a society with, a very interesting history. They have a strong concept of nuclear family. They have, you know, very disciplined people, and even them, they are going through the ups and downs of modernity and having their old gods slain and replaced with Western gods, right? And having to fuse some of their old ways and old concepts and old ideas with the modern era. Nameless, where are you? Right? Right? And another example of like Japan using these characters and images as a metaphor would be Godzilla. Godzilla as like Western imperialism, Godzilla as the atomic bomb, right? Godzilla. I made a comment years and years ago on Roger's channel about how Godzilla represents Japan's trauma and how King Kong represents black men in particular, black America, but black men in particular, right? And so it was very interesting watching that King Kong versus Godzilla movie. And Trails and Keisha as the kaiju. Oh, that's freaking hysterical. Oh man, that was funny. Exactly, Nema, right? King Kong versus Godzilla. Exactly, exactly. And Rogus says, we still gotta have our connected bill with this. Man, look, next time Nameless is available, yeah, we definitely do. We definitely do. Right. But I do see Japan's history um as a cautionary tale, right? It is. It's something to think about, especially for those of the way. So, you know, when I first made my presence known in the Black Manosphere, the way I connected with Nameless is by knowing um about the decline of the Japanese population, and we kind of connected on that and kind of seen it as a canary in the coal mine. And I remember telling him, years and years ago about how I was saying to friends, like they were looking at me like weird, like, yo, why do you even care about that? And I'm like, bro, you don't see those type of social dynamics making their way to America, right? What I was trying to express to them before, and maybe I wasn't the best at articulated it then, is those social forces are here, right? Ooh, that's what that I would argue like that's so on the nose, Vernon, and I'm gonna read this in a minute. But yeah, the those social dynamics that's causing young people in Japan not to want to have children exist in the West also. And I think because it wasn't so overt over a decade ago, people didn't see it. Z saw it, right? But others struggle to see, and we're talking about, being in our 20s, so I don't fault, my friends for that, but definitely, right? Black men in particular, the Dog Vulcan, and the Dog Vulcan says Kong represents black people. I guess that explains that obsession with white women. Kidding, right? And Vernon King says Western gods represent the fire people from Avatar: Last Airbender. Exactly. They consume everything in flames until the fire has nothing to burn and burns out. Greed is that flame. Exactly. And you see the way the Fire Nation is represented in The Last Airbender as the nation with the technology and the oppressive nation, and it's dragging the rest of the world into modernity, kicking and screaming, but a very ugly form of modernity, right? And look at the smoke bellowing from some of the like gunships and everything like that, right? And then look at the Fire Lord. Look at how he speaks. Look how Aang had to take his powers for him to realize, like, bro, like, relax. Even when Aang defeated him and then turned his back, it was like, okay, this is over. He still tried to attack Aang at the end. Oh, sorry for the spoilers for anyone that never saw the end of right Avatar, right? I think the Japanese are trying to tell us something. I think the writers for the Last Airbender are trying to tell us something, right? So that's what I got from this. Obviously, this is super surface level. Once again, I suggest everyone watch it. The Mooney goes through withering detail about, or as best as he could in about an hour and some odd, but about how we get from ancient Chinese religious philosophy and Japanese religious philosophy right up until modern day. And then he connects that to the West, right? And essentially saying like Japan's the canary in the coal mine. So shout out to him for that. Um, you know, and just a brief kind of overview of some of the things we covered this week, and then I'm gonna bring people on. Um, we covered the septum ring, right? So this is something my subscribers have heard Z speaking about. Um, so yeah, the septum ring obviously being a thing. Um, you're right. And once again, shout out to Terrain Walker. Shout out to Dr. T. Hassan Johnson. Shout out to Tariq Nasheed. And it's going to be very interesting to watch these people grapple with us speaking about this, right? Oh yeah, and Dark Vulcan says white people wrote Avatar. Well, that's yeah. I remember that. That's why I corrected it and was like, yeah, shout out to the shout out to the writers of Avatar, right? Um, but yeah, so the septum ring and what it represents social, and this is something I should have said this morning. The septum ring and what it represents socially, right, and politically within the Black community in particular, right? What does the septum ring represent when Black women wear it, right? What are they signaling? Is it just a form of jewelry, right? Or is it something more than that? We also spoke about same-sex loving as a political act, which is a common trope on my channel. That's why I say it from the jump. Um, and that's why when I address the ladies from A Space for Us, the same-sex loving ladies, I said it straight up. I tell them to go to y'all or go swirl from the jump. The Black women that have an issue with Black men, I tell them to go swirl, divest, and go date same sex from the start, right? Because it is same sex loving as a political act. It is advocating for same sex loving as a political act, as a big old middle finger to Black men and whatever Black men are trying to establish, heterosexual Black men in particular, right? Oh, Indigo. Oh yeah, they gonna be. And a handful of them are going to be like, yeah, that's what it mean. And but for the most part, yeah, you're right. Yeah, they're going to be that now. Terrain Walker doesn't necessarily have the social media profile of Tariq, but now Tariq done made it a thing, and then made his thumbnail a picture of a sister with a bull ring and a white dude in the background. Oh yeah, they're about to be hella pissed. Oh yeah, we are calling these people out, and they can't hide in academia anymore, right? What's going on, Art? Right? They cannot hide in academia anymore, and that was what they would do. They would intellectualize their misandry and hide in academia and not have to come out in the real world and debate and grapple with what they're saying in academia behind the skirts of white folks, right? And now that we have social media to kind of crowdsource and play with some of these ideas as a group. Oh yeah, right. Oh yeah, they're gonna be pissed because they crowded us out and made academia a toxic place for men, and we still found a way to coalesce around each other and bounce ideas off of each other and play with these different concepts and come up with a coherent message. That wasn't supposed to happen. right? That was not supposed to happen. And now that we're using social media, to be social, right? We're using social media, we're using the Black Manosphere as a think tank. Oh yeah, that wasn't supposed to happen. Ooh, Vernon King said, are white men seen as gods and white women seen as priestesses by black women? Ooh, good question. I think they're both seen as gods. I think they're both seen as gods, to tell you the truth. Right? But yeah, so we covered same-sex loving as a political act. We also covered the video of the young lady, young black lady, pretty much saying, why would I submit to you? Right? In other words, and she said it, you're a slave. You're a slave, and the slave master is the white man. Now, I did shout out to Gender Warlord. I did watch the second clip, right? I did watch the second clip where she tries to clean it up a little bit, right? And she's trying to make it seem like, no, I'm talking about the politics, and I'm talking about the corporate structure and how we're all slaves. It's not just a black man thing. And stop. You ever run into these people who make these flippant comments? They mean it though. And when you press them on it, then they start doing the whole, well, there's no difference between the left and the right, and there's no like, and they try to do this everything is everything thing, right? And that's not what I meant. No, that is what you meant. You meant what you said the first time. Stand on it. Stop being a coward, right? So yeah, so her covering pretty much you're a slave, black men are slaves. Why would I submit to you anyway? I'm gonna submit to the white man. I mean, like you were so blatant on the first video. The fact that you had like the unmitigated gall in the ovaries to try to clean that up. You said it. I'm a, you're a slave black man. Submit to the white man. You didn't say the corporate elite. You didn't say politicians, right? You were very clear. The fact that you think a young person who talks out their ass and then forgets that we got her by a decade or two or three or four, and then she talking to you like you're dumb because she got caught up, right? So yeah, we covered that earlier this week. The good old switcheroo, right? When I was covering, how you have these content creators and these kind of social media gurus, right? We'll say. And I was covering Selkish Ray and the fact that Selkish, um, she did a video alive where she was kind of, speaking to her audience about love and why you need a man, and she kind of continued some of that, and not to listen to these other content creators who are pretty much, you know, shout, giving her props on this part, where pretty much like stop listening to these female content creators. They don't got nothing for you. And slowly but surely, her subscribers kept on hitting her with those uh, black men are kidnapping every black girl in the world type stories, and eventually they got her to start speaking about those type of stories, right? And that's why I call it the old switcheroo, which is like we can't speak about the fact that we're being led by our noses, willfully so. We're being led by our noses into an outcome that we're not gonna like, even more than we don't like our outcome now, even more than we don't like our situation now, because we're resentful and angry at these Negroes who don't find us attractive. And Selkis speaks to this. I won't lie. She speaks to this on her channel. The fact that, you know, you wish you were quote unquote the pretty girl so you could play these niggas the way you think the pretty girl is playing them. You don't have any moral compass or center. You're just angry you ain't chose. You claim that morality because you don't have no other choice, right? It's the person you know that don't have no jokes when another person is joking on them, so they claim the moral high ground. They claim that they're not moral high ground, sorry. They claim the high ground, right? They claim to be above it. It's like, no, you just don't got nothing to say. You don't have no any rebuttals. Trell said like Boko Haram in the hood. Boko Hood Ram. Right? We walking through the hood with AKs and just kidnapping all the young ladies. Yeah, that's it. Exactly. Exactly. And you let these people talk. That's exactly how they sound, right? Shout out to Paris Milan and her femicide talk, right? So we spoke about that. Shout out to the brother the Roger Report, Daddy Dearest, which was me continuing the Roger Report stream where we spoke about girl dads and how girl dads blow smoke up their daughter's ass and they're not honest with them about the dating world, about how men think and move, about marriage, about how women can be insufferable, about all of that, and how men think about women in a particular way, right? We spoke about girl dads and how girl dads aren't honest with their daughters and they raise spoiled brats, spoiled entitled brats, and it was based off of really the video of the dad doing his daughter's hair and kissing his daughter on the cheek and essentially blowing and like should you tell your daughter all the insanity at 7 years old? Maybe not. Maybe that's a bit young. But should you be raising a spoiled brat and be like, Nobody's ever gonna treat you this good, baby girl? I don't know. I don't know if it's wise. Because when your daughter comes out here in the real world, let's don't even start it in high school. Let's say adult 18 up, 18 years old and up. Oh, it's different. And she's gonna have to deal with real men. Forget just the black men because y'all know y'all well it's because these single moms and these black people ain't raising their sons right. Your daughter's gonna have to come out here in the real world and deal with men, white, black, Latino, Asian, or otherwise. And all that daddy's little girl spoiled brat thing, oh yeah, that's out the window. And have fun as your daughter goes from late teens to mid 20s to late 20s to early 30s to mid 30s to 40s, and you wondering why she ain't never bring no man home for Thanksgiving. You raised a spoiled brat, an entitled spoiled brat, and you thought, unbelievably, you thought that your daughter was gonna catch what a rich dumb lame, a dude with no self-esteem that was going to take care of your little pompous a-hole daughter? Oh no. So I want to be very clear. Shout out to you girl dads for being there, right? You girl dads help to raise sometimes tax-paying citizens who may be good employees, may be good students, but are horrible wives and girlfriends, right? You might have raised somebody with an entrepreneurial spirit who's industrious, right? As I said before, who might be a good student or might be a good employee. And the reason why she nobody girlfriend for more than 2 nanoseconds is because she's not a good girlfriend, which means she's never been a wife. And even for them that make it down the aisle and become a wife, the reason why she's getting divorced in 5 years is because she's not a good wife. You Steve Harvey Shaq girl dads. You Steve Harvey Shaq girl dads. Blowing smoke up your daughter's ass, and now you wonder why your daughter don't got no man. Happy birthday to your daughter, Trell. And Trell says, mind blown. My daughter turns 15 next Sunday. But Trell, you don't strike me as a type that's raising a spoiled little brat, right? A little girl that's jealous that she ain't a white little girl, right? Right? She might be daddy's little princess, but you know, raising her to be like understanding of like, yeah, but the men, 10 toes down men, yeah, they'll love you and love on you, but the spoiled brat thing, yeah, that's not a thing, right? So we covered that earlier this week also, you know. Shout out to Toya, we covered some of the conversation we had, right? The second order effects, right? So it was about the Melissa Ford. Oh yeah, that's what we were speaking about. So the conversation that Melissa Ford had on Joe Rogan, not Joe Rogan, Joe Budden's podcast, we covered that, right? And shout out to Toya because Toya covered it, so we covered it after. And yeah, Melissa Ford going in there trying to read the men, right? Trying to give the men a piece of her mind. Melissa Ford, are wait, you don't got no man though, and no kids. Uh-oh. And for those of you too young, y'all don't understand what Melissa Ford was in the early aughts. She was the video vixen. Like there's video vixens, but Melissa Ford was the video vixen. She was the one. She was the face, right? She was the face, right? So we also covered a space for us, like I said. Oh, that was the week before, actually. That was actually the week before. And we covered is it black women empowerment or is it just anti-black men? Right? And that was me reviewing um the breakdown and some of their commentary. And y'all like, share, subscribe, hit the super chat. And yeah, anti-black men, right? Is what we're seeing coming from black female content creators on the internet, is it black women empowerment or is it just black anti-black man, right? Trell, I ain't even gonna read it out loud. I'm not even gonna read it out loud. And Leon, that's the answer your question. Trell answered your question. Right. Toya backed him up. You know what? And she's not. Superhead wasn't ugly, right? She wasn't ugly. I mean, her personality and for those of you that remember a few months ago when she kind of went viral again for a little bit, kind of snapping off, um, and yeah, like that girl gone mentally. I said, girl, she's older than me. That lady is gone. She's gone. She been gone, right? Where they call it the thousand peen stare. Yeah, she gone. Better you said, are they now one and the same? Right. You know, and so y'all give me a second. Let me get ready to put that link in. Let's, let's turn on this light real quick first. Right. So I can actually see what's going on. And there we go. Let there be light. Okay. So, but yeah, y'all come up and tell me what y'all think, and we could talk about a bunch of different things, right? It's kind of open panel discussion. And yeah, give me 1 second. Let's get this started. Okay. All right. Links in the description. Y'all like, share, subscribe, hit the super chat, and yeah, for anyone that wants to come up. And right. I read Leon's comment. That was funny. What's going on, better you?
Nothing much. How you doing, brother?
What's going on, bro?
Right now, I'm kind of getting my ass kicked on JRPG type
what,
games.
what you playing? What you
No
playing?
more, no more Heroes 3.
No More Heroes 3. Yo. Oh man. You get your ass kicked.
Yeah,
Go.
I play everything on hard
Hmm.
because most things aren't hard anymore. It's actually
Hmm.
hard. So
Wait, I wanted it to be. I wanted to play on difficulty, and I'm playing on difficulty, and it's difficult. No, man, look, I already know the struggle. Look, my first RPG game was Final Fantasy VIII. So I told y'all I played seven and beat it. I did. I went backwards. I did seven. I did eight, nine, then seven. Right. So
okay.
yeah. So
Yeah.
I my first RPG
Mhm.
game was Final Fantasy. Let me get this up. My first RPG game was Final Fantasy
I didn't
VIII,
say anything.
and my cousin who was working at Blockbuster at the time, he got it because I think one of them was kind of scratched up. One of the because it was a 4 disc set.
Mhm.
He got it. He gave it to me, and so he didn't tell me anything. He was just like, "Hey Z, you want this because I know you got a PlayStation," and he had a 64. So he was like, "Hey, you can have it." He didn't tell me anything. He didn't tell me nothing about nothing. I didn't have no instruction manuals because it's a Blockbuster rental.
Oh man.
So you
Oh, okay.
imagine
It was a burner.
no, 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 it was an actual real thing. But you imagine
Okay.
how old was I at the time? 13 or 14-year old. First RPG game, nobody tell you
Mhm.
nothing. You don't have no instructions. Remember, this is before like high speed internet, so you're not just looking stuff up just willy nilly.
Dial up.
So you pretty much just got dropped into the RPG JRPG world out of nowhere. And so like when I tell y'all, it
Uh,
took me like damn near 2 years to beat Final Fantasy VIII because I had to keep on like walking my way through, learning different things. I that's when I really learned like now I'm obsessed with grinding, right? In games.
what year was
Pause.
this?
Um, was this
When did you get your
what
first PlayStation?
what
First of all.
was this 99 or 99 and 2000? Was this 99
Okay.
2000 something like that? But something like that.
Yeah.
So
Oh, okay, that would explain
you
it.
know yeah. So I just got dropped into the RPG world, and when I say, bro, that struggle was real. Whew, that struggle
Mm-hmm.
was real. You know.
All right.
Uh,
Anyway, it's
So
if I
Trail
may.
said Black Buster would name a real quick. We going in order. Name a
Sorry.
chill. Right. So better you go ahead.
Um, to the point about the JRPG, I
Mhm.
saw that when it got posted a couple months ago, and the way I interpret it was kind of a little bit in line with what you did, but with a little bit of a wrinkle of might
Mhm.
makes right. It was
Mm.
God as a
Mhm.
station, as a honestly not too different than a job, and it was one ideology, one sovereign supplanting another that didn't have the power to continue it, and it was kind of a little bit of the mandate of heaven flowing in
Mm.
there, as well as if one god can be toppled by another, then it kind of deserved it because something
Yeah.
must have become corrupted and
Yeah.
or unjust with this rule. So
Yeah.
I thought that was a whole interesting. It was a very interesting video.
Bro, I loved it. And you said, wait, you said somebody made a video about that, or you're saying that's what you got from this?
Yeah, that's what I got from it. Like I saw that
Okay.
video
Yeah.
when
Yeah.
it
Yeah.
got posted about
Oh
two
yeah. So
months ago.
you okay? Okay. Okay. Yeah. 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 No. So your take I think is even more interesting than mine because the way I was interpreting it, yeah, the I did interpret it as a fallen god. You got toppled because the other dude, the might makes right. So yes, I agree with you on that's really what I got from it. The might makes right, but then the fallout of might makes right when when we're almost reaching to me a critical mass. And I think Mooney might have been getting to this too. What overt god do you believe in? right?
Mm.
What capital G God do you believe in, right? Because I think the lowercase g gods that people are worshiping, it's not overt worship. It's the way you act. So your cell phone, you don't literally worship your cell phone, but the first thing in your face in the morning, right? The first thing you kneel to, and I mean, like, that, like, rhetorically, like, the first thing you kneel to in the morning is your phone. And
Yeah.
it's nothing for young people. The first thing they do when they turn over in the morning is turn off the alarm and check their TikTok or their IG. That's nothing,
Facts.
right? You see what I'm saying?
That's
So, like,
facts.
that. So it's a. I guess we're getting into idol worship now, right? Something to think about. So yeah, but yeah, go ahead and finish up. But I love that take better. I'm actually go rewind and listen to what you said again. I like that take. But yeah,
Hey,
yeah, we're gonna expand on that a little bit more. But better, you were finished.
Yeah, pretty much. That
Okay.
was the biggest element of it. It was
Yeah.
honestly, it was justifying one's reign. Honestly, for to kind of sum it all up.
Trail pause.
all
Trail
right.
Trail over here sounded like Cameron. Trail said where he said better you plays everything on hard and Z loves grinding. What hell kind of convo?
You know what? I'm gonna
Pause,
add
son.
something to
Go
that.
ahead, name it. Go ahead,
I'm gonna
name it.
add some. Oh, by the way,
I almost spit my damn
fuck your couch, nigga.
juice out
And
because I
by
was
the way,
drinking. Go ahead.
if my dad was here, God rest his soul, he'd be looking at you sideways, Z, because the way you were sniffing
Hmm.
earlier, you were like, because that was a pet peeve of his when we were kids. Like,
Hmm.
he'd look at us and like, boy, you got a box of Kleenex over there. Blow your nose. Of course, I'd have to throw you
Hmm.
under the bus and say, Dad, leave him alone. I think he just came home. He was on vacation in Colombia, or was it Peru?
Hysterical.
Thank you.
Man, no,
But since you guys
I'm
are
traumatized. Real quick, name of the episode. I'm traumatized as a South Florida native. Boy, ain't nothing
uh-huh.
scary than seeing bases and freaking crack. Ain't nothing scarier as a kid. But when I say that, those Dare commercials and those don't do drugs and those crack, that shit worked on me.
Just say no.
Yeah, the just say
I
no
mean,
commercial. All of that worked on me. Yeah, go ahead.
one of my boys who used to run with us back home in Eritrea,
Hmm.
he grew up in San Diego. He had a Dare T-shirt.
Hmm.
First time I'd ever seen one of those. But yeah, it's like. But just before I say, what I say, what since Terrell is like ragging on the both of y'all, this reminds me of an old Artie Fuqua joke we said about finger popping a girl is like video games. You make her come once. Z, why'd you blow yourself up?
Because I
Oh,
added
never mind.
line player and I didn't know
Oh,
who
but
line
you
player
can
was.
always keep in the back so
Yeah,
you know what to. You forgot what BJ said about anytime we have trolls coming in, just leave them in
yeah,
the
yeah,
back,
yeah, yeah. Yeah.
put them in the corner. Anyway,
Um, Go ahead and land name and
as I
I'm
was,
gonna talk to line player real quick and then we'll continue on. Go ahead.
he had this joke about finger popping a chick, right? It was
Hmm.
like a video game. Anytime you make a come, the shit goes back up a high level. So they talk about. So one time he's like finger popping his girl. He's like, "Did you come yet?" She's like, "No." Well, could you put this shit on Rookie? Who put this snatch on Drew? You ever seen a woman scratch? You ever seen a woman snatch, guys? It looks like an Xbox controller. You got to find, the right control. Up, down, left, right, A, B, X, Y, A, B, X, Y. You come yet? No. Fuck. Now I got to go. I got to go to GameFAQs.com or something like that to get the cheat codes. Just before YouTube, folks.
Yeah.
Anyway,
No, Chris Rock got a joke about that, about how easy it is for us to climax, and like how
no, there's two
it's
types of
nothing.
comes he
But
said about us.
yeah, yep. There's the other, yeah, the other one. The other
Yeah.
one is different. Yeah. I ain't even gonna go into all of
One
that.
is
But go
like
ahead,
drip,
finish.
drip. The other one's more
Yep.
like a civil rights fire hose.
Right. He said it's like ketchup. I was like, what?
No, first one's like ketchup, drip, 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 drip.
Yep.
But when you make us bust that good nut, we shoot in your face like a civil rights fire hose.
Hysterical. And wasn't that before? That was before the divorce, right?
This was on Kill the Messenger. That's
Okay,
2009.
I think that
Yeah,
was
man,
after.
remember
that special. Yeah, man, was that after or like during? Was that
I
after?
don't know. I think it was before the divorce. When did he
Yeah,
get
it might have
divorced?
been.
When did he get divorced?
Re- it-
Kill the Messenger was before he
mm,
got divorced. Kill the
yeah,
Messenger.
yeah, I agree. man, and that's like,
But
yeah,
anyway,
his wife was straight, college educated
yeah.
sister, kind of smart, I think she was
Yeah,
in a
yeah. It
sorority
was
too.
what it was.
Yeah,
Apparently, Malak
I
Rock. Yeah, she was
I
apparently.
think
That
so.
was her
I
name,
think
Malak
so.
or something like that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
But
yeah, yeah. But
yeah.
yeah, go ahead.
Anyway, first of all, you asked about the Orlando Jones line. It was like this.
Mhm.
He said, first of all, do you see, Mr. Z? Do you see progress?
Mhm.
War is upon us. I count
Yeah.
one, two, three African gods, and two of these gods want to exercise restraint.
Yo, that killed me when he said restraint. That was it
Restraint.
right there, right? I was like,
But
God
here's the
damn.
thing. But here's the thing about
Mhm.
it. If you want to know what happened, he did an interview. I watched another clip on YouTube, but
Mhm.
you can find it on. But it was an interview he did on Talib Kweli's The People's Party podcast, where he
Mhm.
talks about what happened, how he got kicked off, and apparently what happened was when the new producers, because people forget he wasn't just acting, and Orlando Jones isn't just a member of the Screen Actors; he's also part of the Writers Guild.
Yeah,
He's
he was
well known in
writing.
the Writers Guild.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
He
I saw
wrote
this
several
interview too.
episodes.
Mhm.
Yeah, and he explains how when they came under new leadership, I think it was new director, new producer, and everything.
Mhm.
They were not happy with. They did not agree with him. I guess it was like they try to go woke and shit right now for season three,
Mhm.
and they cut him off. And he claims that they tried to kill his assassinate. They try to assassinate his character, talking to other writers and whatnot. People he's
Mhm.
known for years. They
Yeah.
tried to try to kill his career from under try to undercut him from behind. And everybody's like, that doesn't sound like Orlando. We know his
Mhm.
work ethic. We know his professionalism. What the hell's wrong with y'all? But that's what it is. So if anybody's wondering, check out Orlando Jones's interview on the People's Party podcast
Yeah.
by Talib Kweli. Um, the thing about Japanese culture, the nihilism and everything, people
Mhm.
forget,
Mhm. That's the word right there.
especially
Perfect.
like
That's the word right there,
the
Nitty.
nihilism.
That's the
Yes,
nihilism. That's the word right there. Go
yeah.
ahead.
But I'm sure Teltoya is right now in the back taking notes
Mhm.
because she talks about my shit as like like a psych lecture. But people forget that the corporate structure in Japan being what it is, and people don't understand the history and the
Mhm.
significance of the salary man and how you see why the herbivore came into existence.
Yeah.
They came
Yeah.
to existence because some of them are the children of salarymen, not the they're not from the working class. They're not from the blue collar working class. Many of them are the sons of white collar salarymen. And you should see if you look at Japan. If anybody's been to Japan, you know it's like you got guys in 3-piece suits, briefcases, all you'd be falling asleep on a
On the
park
subway, yeah,
bench
I've seen the
on
videos.
the subway
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
because Japanese salary in the corporate world, Japan, not just in Japan, but also in Korea, in Taiwan, these guys pull out some of the most grueling work hours.
Mhm.
These guys work long, hard hours, and then they got to go out drinking and whatnot with the bosses and whatnot.
Mhm.
And you wonder why the fertility is what it is. You understand what kind of when you have work overload on a man, that kind of does to a man's fertility
Yeah. By the
and what
way,
it does
ladies,
to
if we do too
family
many
work life
hours,
balance.
we literally can't get an erection. Like that's a thing. Like that's a real thing. By the way,
I
go
mean,
ahead.
in fact, people should try to go to YouTube and check out this one documentary. It's called Stress: The Silent Killer by National Geographic. One of the
Mhm.
key interviewees in that documentary is Professor Robert Sapolsky, PhD motherfuckers from University of Stanford, who's a neuroscientist who's done research of 30 plus years on stress and how it affects humans. Of course,
Mhm.
his test subjects were baboons. But they also did something called, but also the Justice Ministry in the UK did a similar research, which is also featured in that documentary. The nihilism, the destruction, and younger generations of people realizing, I don't want to do it. I don't want to live like
Mhm.
that. They see what happened to their
Yeah.
fathers. And plus, their mothers are usually controlling the funds because the
Yeah.
fathers bring home the money. It's just like in the black culture. He brings home the
Yeah.
check. She
No, no.
cashes it in,
Big
but she
Kev.
gets him an allowance.
Big Kev. Sent me. I watched it too. By the way, Big Kev. The what is it called? The Watanabe. Women. Is that the kind of generic name? That's their Jane Doe.
Yeah, 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 yeah. It's
Yeah,
the
yeah. I
Japanese
watched it.
version of Jane Doe. It's called Mrs. Watanabe. These are
Yeah,
basically
yeah,
women who basically control the finances of their homes in
yeah,
Japan.
yeah.
They
Exactly what
first
Name
tried
was
to do
saying.
like a
Hmm.
arbitrage, do forex,
Hmm.
and then they switched over from forex to day trading during like the late '90s. But yeah,
Hmm.
yeah,
Yeah, no, I watched it.
that's the name of it. It's called Mrs. Watanabe.
Okay. All right.
It's not
So
just
let's
that;
let
it's a
Nema
ripple effect.
land and then Big Kev. Go ahead, Nema.
Yeah, but people
Hmm.
forget that this is not just the work hour. This is how the herbivore men come about, and it's a ripple effect. You even see things like the huge, not only just the falling birth rates, also you see so many elderly people who are just somewhat neglected by their families. Because a lot of people don't know that one of the core demographics in the Japanese prison system are senior citizens, mostly in for petty crimes and whatnot. The only reason they're
Mm,
committing crimes is they want to be in places where they can be gathered with others, because most of them
around
are
other
living
people.
quiet, quiet lives. There was that one situation we had a elderly Japanese man who killed himself in such a public manner on a Tokyo subway train
Mm,
in a Tokyo subway train. So it's a lot of things in Japan, but the canary in the coal mine. If you want to understand the way, and it's just seeing how the traditional ways of Japan is not completely clashing, is not completely adapting to the modernity because they're so stringent and they're
mm,
not open to adapting. In fact, I remember there were some MGTOWs who talked about this, who talked about certain aspects of Japanese culture that have been proven to be counterproductive and destructive towards men. I mean, one of them I forgot was he talked about the issue of inheritance. Like he had a picture where he showed a typical Japanese family, the
yeah.
grandparents, the grandfather was in a suit, sitting in the front, cross-legged. Standing behind them were their two couples, obviously their children and their children-in-law, and the grandparent and the grandchildren. And you see one son, and both couples only have one child. One of the couples has a daughter, the other one has a son.
Hmm.
And the MGTOW and his ghost, when they were like breaking down the whole picture, they were noticing that the son is not really smiling. The husbands in both couples are kind of graying prematurely because stress what does to men.
Hmm.
And the
But
daughter
yeah,
was smiling, and they were like, yeah, and the granddaughter, sorry, was smiling, while the grandson was kind of hesitant. But the
yeah,
granddaughter's
because
smiling because
he sees his
she's going to get the
future.
inheritance.
Yeah,
No, no, the granddaughter is smiling because she's going to get the bulk of the inheritance from
yeah,
granddad via her parents. So people just,
yeah,
I mean, you think that's bad. Look at how it is in the U.S.
yeah,
So you
yeah. And
see
that's
how these
wait,
types of
real quick, Randy, real
systems are
quick, now,
affecting.
real quick.
Sorry.
And that's what Better You says. No, you good. This is what Better You saying in the comment. And he says, pay attention to what Nema is saying about the work hours and keep in context that Americans work even more hours than anyone else. Exactly. So, and Nema, I'm gonna have you
Oh,
land right here. Let's let
all right,
Big Kev speak, and then we're just gonna circle back around. All right, Big Kev.
all right.
Oh,
Sorry.
I was about to say when it comes to the long hours, actually,
Hmm.
it's people in Singapore that work the longest hours. And when it comes to like alcohol consumption, I know that
Hmm.
like the Irish have a reputation for being alcoholics, but actually the people that drink the most alcohol are like people in South Korea. They're definitely heavy into like that after work drinking.
Oh
Hmm.
yeah.
They can they consume the most alcohol by like volume and stuff. But
Big Kev,
you know,
what does that
from a small
population
shop.
what does that population look like in South Korea right now? That birth rate, what it look
They
like?
have
.6.
they have like the lowest birth rate in the world right now.
Yeah, that's my point. That's all I wanted to say. Go ahead.
Mhm.
That was the point. Go ahead.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's that, and then the problem
Mhm.
just like you said, just like a lot of East Asian cultures is that they used to have like a culture of overwork, especially since the end of World War II, and
Hmm.
that's the reason why their
Yeah.
population is struggling. Everybody's so busy working like say 10 to 12 hour shifts that nobody has time to like actually date and stuff like that. So that
Hmm.
that's why a lot of these East Asian countries have such low birth rates.
We have to,
So
Big Kev.
Mhm.
You know what you made me think? You and Nema. We have to have a response for no romance without finance, right? Because like when
Oh.
as y'all are speaking, and I'm thinking about the hours to
Mhm.
make this type of money, I'm thinking about like yeah, but
Mhm.
like no erection without like, and I'm trying to figure out like what to rhyme with that and be work related, like all of this work that we're putting in, but then you can't even get it up to like even like no romance without finance. Yeah,
Yeah.
bitch, but I'm working all the time. We got the finances,
No
but we can't
peace.
do nothing.
No peace.
Mhm.
Can't get no release.
No romance
Oh, by the way,
without
Big Kev.
finance. That sounds like
Yeah.
something that would be said to you in the Philippines or
Right,
Vietnam somewhere.
right.
Uh-huh.
Good point. Good
Oh,
point. Good point.
I
Yeah.
have a question for Big Kev
Oh,
actually.
yeah.
Go ahead.
Big Kev, I wonder if you ever checked out. There was some. I remember in 2001, 2002, I came across an article because since we're talking about, since I mentioned, the workouts in Japan, there was this article. I think it was on Times. If you can try to find it, it talked about Japan's slacker generation. These are basically 70s Gen Xers, early millennials
Hmm.
who refuse to go into the 9 to 5, and many of them have been
Yeah, yeah,
going
yeah,
into
yeah.
other things like that. The slacker generation. Look for that. Also, as far as Singapore's low birth rate, understand that that's been that goes back to the 90s because they were so effective with family planning. The birth rate just dropped big time
Mm.
because they used
Yeah,
to have
no,
large families. But when they said because Japan, Singapore being so what you call it, so stringent, so strict as hell,
mhm.
they were able to enforce a family planning program that was far too effective. It was effective, but it got too effective.
Yeah.
That's why
They
that's
have
why
a
the birth rates
strict
went down.
car
They started
culture too.
importing. Oh, they have
Yeah.
a strict everything culture, man.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But y'all know I'm a big car guy, and like if it's, I think it is Singapore, but like you can't even modify cars there. You can't like you could obviously have your car worked on, but you can't modify cars there. And that mean that Mr. Z ain't never going to Singapore on no living there crap because what?
You got to go to Japan, man. You got to go to
Right?
Japan because
Oh
there's
yeah,
a car
that's on the
culture
list.
there.
That's on the list.
Yeah,
That's on the list.
when they modify their cars, nigga.
Mhm. Yeah, but okay, so
Wait,
real quick,
yes, sir.
we going around. Yeah. So
Okay.
Big Kev, you finished up or?
Yeah, man. Almost. And
Mhm.
then another thing to think about, and I was actually just my mom actually mentioned something that we actually talked about when the one child policy in China and how
Mhm.
that's affected
Mhm. You went out, Big Kev.
stuff.
Oh, you said the
Oh,
one child policy in China, and then you dropped. Go ahead.
the one
What
child
did I say
policy in
about
China
that?
Mhm.
and how they have
Real
an
real
excess
quick.
of men because of it.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So yeah, man,
That
it's messed up, man. So I think what happened is that
Moderny is kicking us in the ass, y'all. I like my cell
yep.
phone, but goddamn, look what it cost. And not money. I'm talking about like socially what it costs. Like I like my cars, but socially what it costs. Like Moderny is kicking us in the ass. Well, I think we'll
Mm-hmm.
figure it out. I don't think human beings are going to go extinct. I'm not that nihilistic. I don't think human beings are going to go extinct or whatever. I just think human 2.0, yeah, it's going to be different because yeah, this I don't see this current iteration of whatever this is that we got going on the globe right now. It's not sustainable. This I and like I keep on using that phrase. It's not sustainable, but it really isn't. Like when I say it, I mean it. I'm not just saying it, right? It's not sustainable. It really isn't. Yeah. Okay. Toya, Miss Jersey, what's going on?
Hey, Mr. Z, I just want to
What's
tell
going on?
everybody to go ahead and hit that like button if you haven't already. And I would like to talk about something that is not on subject, so I'll defer to
Go ahead.
someone
Go
else.
ahead. No, no, no. Go. You know what? Go ahead, and then if we switch up and we'll come back. You know what? Go ahead. Go off the road, and then we'll get back when we speak to Lion. Go ahead.
Leave it to a black woman to derail the conversation, but okay.
Nah, that's okay.
Um,
Look.
no, it was just about what you mentioned earlier with the septum
Hmm.
piercing theory.
Hmm.
And if you look at, I, I, I know that we're talking mostly about black women here, but there are quite a bit
Hmm.
of white women who are rocking them and even
I've seen him.
referring to getting it as part of initiation into their villain era. So when you think about the fact that
Ooh.
they're connecting these two for you without you even having to have that perspective, it tells you a lot. And the
What
fact
did you
that
just say, Toya?
yeah, it's
They're saying
initiating.
villain
Yes,
era. They're
yes, they
saying,
are.
oh, I love it.
Yes.
Hey, I love it. I love it. Internet will expose us all. Go ahead.
And when you look at, if you isolate this to the black women who have them, they all fit a certain archetype. Okay.
Uh-oh.
We're talking about Willow Smith. We're talking about Zoe
Mm-hmm.
Kravitz. We're talking
Yeah.
about Rihanna.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it all starts to kind of make sense when you think, and I said this in the chat. These are things that I would see on a regular basis and just know it wasn't for me, but never really thought twice about until I hear you guys referring to it as a theory and what it all leads to. And the math is mathing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
If I'm
Like a
like
motherfucker.
with the septum rings,
Mhm.
I haven't. I put it like this: like the chicks I have seen with septum rings that are black women,
Mhm.
they've always been one of my. I might have the term slightly wrong, but I believe like one of my friends, she's a lesbian. She would call them pillow queen lesbians. Basically, like they're the type of girls like they anti-man, anti-everything establishment. They just pure anarchists, but kind of like to your political lesbianism point Z, they engage in it, but they want to have those things performed on them. Like they ain't trying to eat the box or nothing like that.
They not.
So
You
like,
notice they all wear the
temper
same boots, though,
tantrum.
right?
It's temper tantrum. And that's what I'm getting at. It's burn everything to the ground without realizing that you stand on a foundation made of wood. I
Mr. Z,
mean that. Go ahead.
there's another way to identify them. They all wear those Doc Martin boots, and we all know those are the lesbian feminist boots. And they're like, why are you guys wearing them neo-Nazi boots? I'm like, every time I
That's
see
what they
them,
are.
I start thinking Du Haas from Ramsteiner.
Wait. What did
Oh
you say
my
about them goose
God.
step? What did you say to them about goose stepping? What did you say?
Yeah, it was basically wearing them Nazi boots. I'm like, I keep hearing the song Du Haas by Ramsteiner.
Shithead.
Yo, I can't believe you brought that throwback up. Rammstein? Whoa.
Yeah, because that's what they look like, and they all wear them. Because here in New York, they all got them. Like I'm looking at the black chicks with them. I'm looking at the white chicks with them. I'm like, you guys know that
Hey,
those are white supremacist boots, right? I mean, you can.
what did you say about goose stepping
Associated with
and wait, goose stepping, walking straight while licking to the left? What did you say? No, go ahead.
Wait,
Yeah,
so
it's just,
Doc Martens are the Subaru of footwear.
What did you? For those of you that don't know, like Subaru's like the Swiss Army knife of cars. And like so, when Toya said that, that's just funny with us. Because and
I've
Subaru is
ridden a
also
Subaru.
like wait, and Subaru is like really what Toya was getting at, and you tell me if I'm wrong. Subaru whole advertisement is on some like rainbow women stuff, right? So they
Okay.
noticed, especially with the Outback, that like when they first started selling the Outback, it wasn't doing sales except for a particular market. And it was like when they looked up who was buying them, it was like, outdoorsy, like butch, bear built, white women. And yeah, so they just said, screw it, we'll double down. It's pretty much it's like a similar story to the shell toes, the Adidas shell toes. Like
Yeah.
how Adidas did the research and they were like, wait a minute, we selling a whole lot of shell toes in New York coming out of this particular, It's the Subaru did the same thing with their Outback and they realized it was a particular demographic of
You
white
talking
women.
about the village?
you blowing my
Like,
mind, bro. I'm thinking of all the people I know that own Subarus. A lot of them
I'm
lesbians.
telling you.
bruh, it's a trick. Like you see what I'm saying? Like you'll be
Yeah.
surprised. You know what it is? It's like teachers in Volvos in the 80s.
Oh, that's a good one.
Oh,
That's a
You
good
know?
one.
Yeah.
yeah. Excuse me, better
Yeah,
you?
teachers in Volvos in like the early 90s, the late 80s. Go ahead.
Yes.
Yeah.
Excuse me, better you? Oh, by the
Mhm.
way, folks. Oh, I forgot to do this just to be,
Wait,
just
wait,
to,
wait,
you know,
wait,
be
wait,
mean.
wait, wait, Namer, wait. I gotta cut you off. Because I gotta get Lion to speak because we cut him off. He was making a point and we just because what he said was funny, so we all cut him off. Go ahead, Lion, and then
Oh, I'm sorry.
yeah. Oh, and actually, let me read your comment first. And Lion says, "I am not a troll. I just have a new avatar."
Hey, Lionel. That's Lionel Player One.
Right.
yeah, I was just screwing around with
Mhm.
one of the videos I was recording, and I saw
Mhm.
that I took a picture of one of the NPCs. I thought it would be funny to have that as an avatar.
Mhm.
Absolutely
Yeah.
horrible.
Yeah. No, but I got to be careful because I'm starting my subscriber numbers is going up and The last thing I want is one of these trolls coming up here with, you know, they got my girl Toya. She had to start over, so I'm, you know.
Oh
Eh,
damn!
What's
Serious?
yeah,
happening?
When that
no, it
happened?
was. How long ago was that, Toya?
It was like a year ago.
Yeah. And
Mrs.
Oh, okay.
I had just jumped off the panel. I was up there and like I
Yeah.
went to go re-listen to it and it was gone. I'm like, what the hell? Toya deleted her channel? It was like, yeah, no,
Hey, can
yeah.
I
So
say
we
Kind of
something
like
gotta
what
real
happened
quick,
to
Mrs.
Kinko's.
Z?
Okay, go ahead, sir.
let's do this. Leon, because it looks like it's an emergency, and then we'll go back to
Yeah.
Lionel, and then we'll go to Neymar. Go ahead.
Yeah, I got 30 minutes left of work, but you know I'm a
Hmm.
military brat, right?
Yes,
So
yes.
y'all really have to pay attention because I didn't even watch the video that the girl put out. It's just when Tia John Johnson and Gigi was talking about it. I said those are military brat girls that they're never just a regular army. They're the officers, kids in the army, they're Air Force,
Hmm.
Navy kids. And I get
Hmm.
into detail with it when I get off work, but they're all kids. A lot of them are kids of people in the military that
Hmm.
kind of grew up middle class, but they didn't get to be around the black kids because their parents were
So what you
higher
telling me
ranking and
about
shit.
Okay.
rebellion? It sounds like you talking about
Well,
rebellion right now, but go ahead.
well, basically what happens with these girls is like they okay, my mom didn't let me rock wear and all that shit when
Hmm.
I was younger, right? So I had to buy it
Hmm.
myself. These
Hmm.
girls they go to more white schools, right? And
Hmm.
it's like the Brad and those guys don't want them, and plus, you know, some of the middle class people are racist, so they start hanging out with the outcasts. So they hang out with
Hmm.
the lesbian girls, they hang out with the skateboarders, the
Hmm.
fucking the Rubo
Ah,
kids, the artsy boys, the goofy people that are kind of outcasts and not
Okay, so
A class.
the alternative lifestyle people. Go ahead.
Yeah, alternative. Anything that's
Hmm.
alternative. So you catch them, you know, when you go to the park and you see the people with styrofoam swords and they're slapping each other and shit and all that shit.
Yeah.
Hey, these are military black girls that grew up on the right side of town that had some middle class military or government working parents most of the time. And so,
uh-huh.
like I said, they're always with the outcast of society, which are white people and Asian guys and just
Hmm.
anybody, even Jewish guys a lot of the time.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
But
Uh,
like
oh,
I
sorry, go
lived
ahead.
in Woodbridge, right? I lived in
Hmm.
Woodbridge, Virginia. But then you look at the
Hmm.
black kids that live in Alexandria, where it's like
Hmm.
those houses are like $1 million a piece now. They're totally
Yeah.
fucking different. And so they
Yep.
don't grow up. But then the problem happens is like the street dude that, you know, since they lived in Germany, Hawaii, and places like I did, because my parents are military, right? Like my sister,
Hmm.
she's like that. She explained, she said, yeah, that's us. She's like, we finally meet black American boys that live out in the city and they confirm everything we see about them on the news. They'll rob us for $50 and shit. But then there's the jocks, right? That
Hmm.
you have selection of white girls, Hispanic girls, Asian girls, and all that shit, and you're this oddball looking black girl that doesn't really fit the criteria which you see normally with black
Hmm.
women that's attractive. And so that's why they do that shit. And my sister used to be part of that
Shout out to
shit.
Russell Wilson.
Yeah. Yeah. And here's the
But
thing
yeah,
too.
it's just an
So
outcast.
no, and then, but this is my thing. This is where I get annoyed, and I'm happy that we're actually having this conversation, and even black women are starting to take notice because those women are talking for them. White society then turns around. That girl goes to college. She graduates from a PWI, and she has white friends. And her white homegirls, as they're going up, sometimes they take her up with them, and then they put a microphone in her face, and that's the chick that's supposed to represent Black America and the Black community. Shout out to Alicia Garza. Shout out to all of them. Those are the weirdo. Them, that's them, and maybe not necessarily military brat the way you're speaking about it, Leon, but at the same time, that those are the people that get the microphone in their face, right? That's why
Mm.
we call them a colonizing agent, because those are supposed to be the Negro whisperers. That's who white society goes to. Be like, hey, you angry, bitter, 32-year-old black woman who's mad that you weren't chosen by the black jocks or the black street niggas or any black man. Tell me what you think about the black community. Like, what you think she gonna say? The what you who wasn't accepted even by the sisters around the way because they looked at you as a square because you are. Tell me what you think about the black community, right?
Excuse me, Z.
Shout out to Candace Owens. Go ahead.
Just like Leon, I grew up around kids like that. but this was in the Middle East. So they would just like but they were like a little more mature about it. But Leon, correct me if I'm wrong. It wasn't just the military kids. Some of those children were also the children of employees of government contract workers and such, and some of them were even the children of
Yeah, that's what
diplomats.
I said.
There was a
That's what
diplomatic
I
corps.
said. That's what I said. They're
Oh, I didn't hear you.
literally military kids and government worker kids because they grow up
Yeah.
Government workers,
grew up on the other
government
side of the
contractors.
town.
Sorry.
Yeah, they don't go to the
Yeah.
average black school. They go to more multicultural, majority white schools.
Yeah, they went.
Like even
They
I
went to
suffer that
schools
shit.
like
Yeah. But
because
let me get this out. 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 Sorry, y'all. Sorry. Go ahead. So Trell says L7 weenie. Yes. And we're all squares up here. And
What?
exactly, Toya. And Toya says proud square. But also, and to answer Toya, but you're a proud square that's not anti-black. And I could see this is where your mom comes in because when I watched that her on the talk show, I could see where you come from, right? I could see where you come from.
Spitting image.
You see what I'm saying? I could see where you come from based off of how your mom held it down on that talk show.
Oh yeah.
As an she was late teens, early 20s?
Yeah, early 20s.
You see what I'm saying? Early 20s going against this sister that was clearly anti-black man.
Oh yeah,
Right?
clearly.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And your mom is holding it down against her. So I could see where you come from. But what I'm saying is other women who are your same age, Toya, but who mom was also like, these niggas ain't ish. Yeah. So they grow up squares, but then they have their mother and the environment that's white supremacist, that's informing them as a square black woman. So the one time they might deal with a brother from the hood or brother from the city, like Leon was saying, they get their heart broken one time and they screw niggas for life. What about all them white boys that done played you? What about all the Latino dudes that done ran through you? You don't got nothing to say about that though.
Actually,
Shout out to Chrissy, right? Go ahead.
Excuse me, Z. As I was saying, because it's like like I said about that, because also they came from other places in the world, like Leon mentioned. Because Leon, your family was stationed overseas at one time, right? Leon. Oh, he's
at work. He's at work. Yeah.
Oh, right. But it wasn't just when they go to like some of these schools. Sometimes they went to schools that were like in the cities, like schools of performing arts, for example, or alternative schools. So they were with the alternative groups, like not just the skaters, whatnot. Some of them got involved with the emos, the goths. What's his name? Godfrey, the comedian. When he was in high school, he talked about
Godfrey Danjuma.
Godfrey Danjuma, yeah, Junior, Godfrey Junior.
Wait, hello? Is that me or did Naima, did you drop? Or Naima dropped. Okay.
Yeah, he'll be
Black,
yeah, he will be.
But
So let's do this. Let's do this. Before so Big Kev, I know you want to say something. Naima, I'm gonna put you on hold for a second. Big Kev, finish up. We did cut off Lionel. We cut him off and then we cut him off again. So Big Kev, Lionel, and then Naima. Go ahead.
yeah, okay, perfect. Yeah, sorry about that, Lionel. But I'm glad you guys are mentioning that too because that's a lot of narrative that people like to roll. They like to act like every woman that's in the streets is just comes from a fatherless home. I'm like, not necessarily.
True.
Some of these chicks, if you talk to them, like some of them have come from like a stable 2-parent home. You know what I mean? And they either do it, and they're out here, they're running the streets basically as a way of rebelling against their parents. As a way of, they see being a hoe as like being edgy and rebellious.
Yeah.
So
Edgelord taken to the max.
Exactly. Edgelord taken to the max, you know what I mean? Right. Or of course you have that very small percentage of women that are like natural born nymphomaniacs. But yeah, like a lot of these women out here in the streets are not fatherless. Some of these chicks, are like what you said, Mr. C, they're basically just edgelords taken to the extreme, So
hey, she hung around way too many 12-year-old white boys when she was 12. You had way too many 12-year-old white boyfriends, and they weren't just friends. Let's call it thing to thing.
The Stifler was strong in that one,
bro.
Oh shit! Oh, American Pie. You had to bring the American Pie reference.
That was funny to it. Yeah, but like that's what it really. And so this is what I'll give FD Signifier because he saw the same thing I saw. And he articulated it perfectly when he in his documentary. Well, his not documentary, but his in video essay. There we go. Video essay covering the Black Manosphere. When he went into the divestments segment, he did accurately call it, like this is like 12-year-old edgelord like behavior that they're engaging in. Like and it's yo, you're 43, 45. Why do you sound like a 13-year-old white boy? That's scary, lady, right? Like we're talking about people in their 30s, like late 20s, 30s, 40s, sounding like 12-year-old, 13-year-old white boys in middle school and high school with this edgelord shit. I'm gonna just try to say the most insane, hurtful, spiteful, snarky thing humanly possible to get a rise out of you because I get off seeing you respond to me like, what the hell did you just say?
Oh yeah.
They're not they're not the
yeah.
only ones that do that. I mean, the to only give only these people that that moniker.
Mhm.
I hear a lot of people here, especially at my job in a men's shelter, talk like that. I'd be looking at them like, I'm 6'5" and I could basically stand your head to the ground. Don't talk like
Mhm.
that. These
Mhm.
guys are weird, but it's not just those people that talk like that. Go ahead.
No, you're right. You're right. No, you're right about that. You're absolutely and that to me is frightening. No, like listen, I do not claim at all to be a bastion of maturity, right? I do not claim that shit. But to hear people my age, mid 30s, approaching late 30s, talking out their ass like they 13 and 14, it's just weird. And you're right, Lionel, like coming from men or women, that shit's weird. But online, that edge lord divestment rhetoric that the sisters are engaging in, you're like, bro, grow up. Aren't y'all supposed to be the ones that's telling? The way I was raised, it's women that be telling men grow up. Y'all sound like y'all 13. Right? And shout out to Toya because this is exactly what it is. And Toya says that's that arrested development that they're unaware they're showcasing. I don't think they care, but I agree with you. They're unaware, but I don't even think they care. Right? So and like I said, the arrested development of emotions has you being a 35-year-old or 30-year-old, 31, 32-year-old speaking about the guys that overlooked you. Sorry, wrong word. The boys that overlooked you when you were 16. And like I remember I walked into the Black Manosphere telling y'all that. Like this is not about her being 25 and her 27-year-old boyfriend SAing her or physically assaulting her when she was, mid 20s. No, 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 no. Half of these sisters are talking about 16, 14, 15. And Ostefco confirmed that. Kim Foster confirmed that. Yanni confirmed that. Chrissy confirmed that. The sister up there in upstate New York that hang around with Herbert and them, when she was talking to BGS, she confirmed that. I said that because like I've had these conversations with these women when I was in college, and they kept on going back to middle school and high school shit. When I was in my mid 20s, they kept on going to middle school and high school shit. One of the women I dated before me and my lady got serious, we were in our early 30s, and homegirl was talking about dudes that wasn't attracted to her when she was 16. That's real. So like when you tie that up, I think the edgelord culture comes in because there is like this arrested development of emotions and of like intimate emotions. We're talking about like romantic type of relationships, and these people are like stuck. Like their relationship with men is stuck with their relationship with boys when they were undesirable in like high school or middle school, when they were socially awkward in high school and middle school, and they just turned that into a character trait. It's funny these people, and you heard Teen War engage in it. Teen War said like the men that turn misogyny into a character trait. It's like y'all are turning y'all little hurt, bitter feelings from not being desired when you were in middle school into a character trait. And we have multiple example of that. These people got channels with 200,000 and 300,000 subscribers, and them and all of their subscribers sound the same. You want to talk about misogyny as a character trait? Excuse me, Chrissy, Yanni, right? Get the hell up out of here. Cynthia G, goddamn, we got a whole neo-Nazi. I ain't saying shit. None of y'all got the ovaries to say shit about no Cynthia G. So spare me your talk. And that's my little diatribe. I'm probably gonna have another 2 or 3. Go ahead, y'all.
I
As
would
I was
really like
saying
to
earlier.
talk to you,
Oh, sorry,
Z,
sorry.
more about that
Mhm.
because from a woman's standpoint,
Mhm,
there's a lot of meat left on that bone. Just with reference to,
mhm.
um,
Whoever's in the
I
background,
think really,
mute up while Toya's speaking. Go ahead.
I think they don't realize it in the same ways that we were told as young women to make sure
Mhm.
we keep our skirts down. It's in the same
Mm.
way that your skirt came up and nobody told you. These girls are walking around here brandishing their arrested
Mhm.
development because
Mm.
they think they can camouflage it with BBLs, weave,
Mm.
lashes. Like I've said this all before, it's the same thing. It all connects. If you are suffering from arrested development and you are in an echo chamber and an amen corner where the rest of the people there also suffer from it, none of you are going to grow up. But you guys are growing up physically. It's obvious that
Yeah.
you've become
Yeah.
women, but
Yep.
you're trading that in for the emotional work that you need to do
Mm.
to heal that inner child or whatever.
You said
But
amen corner. Woo! I'm stealing
yeah,
that to you. I'm using that. Go ahead. I'm trademark that on your ass. Go ahead. That's
that's
a good one.
fine. Yeah,
That's a good one. The
because that's what it
amen corner
is.
for the bullshit. Yeah. Yep.
Yes,
Yeah.
but that's it.
Now go. Oh, okay. You landed. Naima, you wanted to say something real quick before you go, Naima. That what Toya just so, and this is the thing. I'll be I'll be generous to women and say that's not just a woman thing, right? That's not just a woman and girl thing. The issue that we have in our society when it comes to this conversation between men and women is that we defer to the girls and the women as if they're automatically correct about their assessment about the dynamic between men and women, girls and boys. And because we skew the conversation in their direction, you have the Steve Harveys, which, by the way, me and my coworker got into a kind of back and forth debate about whether Steve Harvey is as green as he pretends to be. I told him Steve is not as green as he pretends to be. That nigga ain't green. He's pretending to be because he got co-signed by Oprah and that goddamn think like a man act like a lady think like a man book did numbers. So he knows where his bread is buttered, so he's going to sound like he's green. But a nigga that been married 3 times ain't as green as you think he is. And he's a Ohio nigga. Ohio players, literally the term is Ohio players.
Cleveland.
This nigga's yeah, but
Cleveland.
yeah, Cleveland, Ohio. Yeah, but that's Ohio. So you know, this nigga's Ohio nigga. You think he says green, and so me and my coworker got into a back and forth about that. It was still surface level. It wasn't an argument, but you know,
Yeah.
and I say that to say like that's I think that that's where you get some of the major issues because look at the Black Manosphere. We take each other's head off because we don't think we're perfect. We think we're on the right side of history when it comes to this discussion between black men and women, but we don't think we're perfect, right? And not only do we not think we're perfect, we push each other to do and be better for ourselves, our families, and black women. The same black women that's calling us dusties, right? But on the women's side is this idea, but the difference is black men are not saying you're not white women. Oops. But black women are saying you're not white men, right? Because if we wanted white women, we would either stay here in America or go to Europe. And when we do passport bros, that's not where we go. We go to Africa, we go to South or East Asia, Southeast Asia, not even really South Asia, Southeast or East Asia. We go to Latin America, we go to the Caribbean. That's what we do when we do passport bros. If we wanted white women, we would go to Europe. And the reason why we're not going to Europe is because we don't want white women. We're not comparing you to white women, right? There is a standard of femininity that we are comparing you to, and it's beyond race. What I would argue for most, if not all, black women, they are putting white men, white masculinity as the standard, and then comparing black men to that. And that is fundamentally different than what black men are doing. And now, when we get into the conversation of who's on the right side of history, that's when we get into issue because we assume that women are morally superior. And this, y'all have heard Mr. Z say this a zillion times. We assume they're morally superior to us, and not us in the Black Manosphere, but the overall space, or we pretend. I really am leaning more now to people are pretending because people that raise daughters and sons know better. They know better. But when you put a camera in their face, they're gonna talk about their daughter like she's better than their son, though. right?
Hey,
And I pause
compassionate
right there.
Callus. Hey,
Yeah.
compassionate Callus. Could you like re-record or like put up a clip of that last 2 minute segment that Mr. Z said? Because that was some straight fire right there, man. Please, compassionate Callus, man. Please,
Ah,
like, oh man,
thank you,
that would be
brother.
so
Thank
good.
you. Thank you, Big Kid.
By the way,
Hey,
Big Kev is in the pool while he's saying that because he's got to work his cardio. He's
hey,
he's trying to work his
we're
cardio,
gonna
but
make
without
hey
fucking his knees up.
we gonna be making fun of Big Kim forever on this. Because he got to lift the big girls, right? So like
No, bro. No, bro.
look,
No, bro.
hey,
Like I said,
y'all
I'm just
notice
single, man. But like,
I never go in on what brothers like. Look, I don't care if you want a big chick, slim chick, thick chick, light skin, dark. I never. You notice I really don't be going on girls' looks. The only time I really go in, I'm not gonna lie, is when you gotta be that level of asshole for me to start talking about your looks, right? But I don't go because we like what we like. I'm a firm believer in we like what we like, right? I don't do
Wait a
the weight
minute.
thing. I don't do the if you ever check out my channel, you'll notice that. I don't do the skin tone
You're
thing. I
taking
don't do
shots
the
at
weight
me.
thing. Yeah, I said for women. I said
No,
girls. I
but
was very
sometimes you
explicit.
go in on dudes. You go in on dudes and shit. But even though I've
Yeah,
never been
because
an
we're
asshole,
dudes.
you taking digs on me.
We're dudes, busy bone. Anyway, like I was saying, right? But I don't
Which
go
is my
on with,
favorite member of Bone Thugs and Harmony.
right? But that's
God
like almost
damn.
everybody's favorite. It's either him or like crazy or lazy. Those are like the three that's
No, it's
usually
crazy or
people's favorite.
lazy. No, for most people, it's crazy and lazy. Most people like
I
crazy
thought it
or
was
lazy.
busy, then crazy and lazy. But either way, but before
No,
we get off topic, wait, real quick. So what I'm saying is, I look, we're men, and you're attracted to what you're attracted to, right?
yeah.
Fuck the bullshit. You're attracted to what you're attracted to, and and that's why I always find it fascinating that black men are so open when it comes to physical attraction, and yet we have these weirdos like Chrissy talking about colorism. Bitch, do you look, man? I know dark skinned, heavy set women that have been married for 10 and 15 years
hmm
because they're not assholes. And I mean to black men, by the way, and they made up for them being heavy set by being a kind person, by being a wife,
You got a
by
I've been a
being a
woman.
cook.
wife.
You got a
But go
woman
ahead.
on the panel who used to weigh 300 pounds and never had any issues. So
You see what, bro?
I'm
Like,
just saying.
and here's the thing. And you were in the Northeast.
Yeah,
You
I had
you
no
weren't even in the
problem.
South. Toya, if you I saw your picture when you were big. When you were big, if you was in the South, them niggas you would have had to beat them niggas off with a stick because it wouldn't mean nothing. It
Yeah,
wouldn't mean not a goddamn thing. Trust me.
and my cooking hand would have been strong too.
You see what I'm saying?
Oh, like I said,
No.
you know what?
When you said cooking hand,
Toya?
I heard pimp hand, and that shit killed me.
Toya?
Go ahead, Nomi. Go ahead.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Mhm.
First of all, how tall are you again?
I am 5'8".
Oh, you're
You're
installed
5'8".
to my lady. Okay.
Yeah, she's an install of my sister, although my sister would argue about that. She's at 5'8".
Wait. Here's the thing. Let me say this real quick, Nima. And even let me tell you how secure men are, black men. Excuse me. Let me tell you how secure black men are in their masculinity. My girl is 5'7". I still bought her some 5-inch heels though. 4.5-inch heels, but still.
I was just gonna say I don't wear anything less than 3 inches. So
You see what I'm saying? And you know, the reason why I mentioned that is because I'm 5'9". She's 5'7", I'm
okay,
5'9", and I still bought her 4.5-inch heels. You want to know why? Because I don't give a damn
nice.
anyway. Them heels is gonna be up in the
Wait a
air
minute.
anyway. Go ahead, yo. Go ahead.
First of all, you're 5'9". Yeah, since you're 5'9", well, I guess we have to call you the Haitian Ben Shapiro then. Anyway,
Hysterical. Nothing. I think Ben is
thank
shorter
you.
than me though,
Thank you.
and I don't speak as fast as Ben. Because if I speak as fast as Ben, then I would speak it like this right now. Go
Or
ahead.
nasal like he does. Or nasal like
Oh
he
yeah,
does.
but let me make
Shit.
my joke real quick, Nemi. Let me make my joke.
You ain't shit.
First of
I
all,
heard that.
by the way, to Ben Shapiro's wife, I just want you to know I don't go after people's wives and girlfriends, but you ain't shit. You ain't shit,
Dude.
lady. You ain't shit
What did
because
she do?
because she fucked that nigga. That's why.
Oh well.
Let me
You
explain that. I can explain that easily.
You did before, but real quick. Look, I get it. Ben is smart. He's witty. He's snarky like a bitch, right? Oh, but shout out to Ben Shapiro. But dear women, if you think you're safe from the criticisms of your husband or your boyfriends, you fuck these men. You give birth to these men's children. That means you're not safe from Mr. Z's criticism. If I call him a loser, I'm calling you a loser. If he's lame, you're lame. If he's a weirdo, you're a weirdo because you're letting let me be very vivid. You're letting a weirdo orgasm in your ear. You're letting Ben Shapiro with that voice orgasm laying on top of you with that voice and with those worldviews. And I'm supposed to look at you like you're what? Go ahead, David.
First of all, I said there was a reason he did it. It was strategic for him. You're forgetting this man is an Ashkenazi Jew. But Ashkenazi Jews, so considering he's not completely Jewish, and one's Jewry is to the paternal line. He married a Sephardic Jew. All right? So that's to have Jewish children and Jewish children that are recognized as Jews, he married a Sephardic Jew. And by the way, as far as them in their ear and shit, nigga, there's a reason why most women prefer doggy style. So they don't have to look at the motherfucker when he's coming.
Wait a minute, Nema. Wait. Nema did some of the realest shit ever. Wait a minute, Nema. Wait a minute.
Let me get it.
Go ahead.
Nigga.
Hey, he just hurt some. Hey, Nema, you just hurt some feelings right now. Go ahead.
I'm gonna hurt some feelings. I'm gonna hurt some motherfucking feelings anyway. I'm pissed. Besides, just fucking fucking annoying.
Doggy is less intimate. That's what you're saying. Go ahead. It's true.
No, there's a reason. Like I said, there's a point for the doggy style. And I remember a chick broke it down to me, even though some chicks have always insisted me hitting the doggy style because they come better. But anyway, there's a reason they insist on doggy style because first of all, they don't have. They can just close their eyes and imagine it's somebody else banging them. That way they can achieve orgasm because because they got involved some manual stimulation. So they can convince themselves that they get off without him doing it. But then again, there are some women out there.
Name, I gotta pause you. I gotta pause you. Okay. Damn, son, where'd you find this? Go ahead.
Can I add one thing? Y'all know damn well. You know damn well he only has sex to have kids. The other is through the butthole. You know he puts the hole in the blanket. Like stop the bullshit, man.
Even then, they insist he hits it from the back, Leon. Because because you know besides everybody knows if you're a short dick motherfucker, the only way you can get balls deep is if you're hitting it from the back.
Hey, and on today's episode of Z Gone Triple X, we talk about positions. Go ahead, Nema. Go ahead. Wait. Nema, 60 seconds, Nema, and then AB. Go ahead.
Okay. As somebody who's on the long end of this shit and then the long thick end, you know you gotta dig it when the girl's gotta put her hand on your stomach when you get in there. Even if you're hitting it from the back, because she knows like you're gonna fuck up because she knows you are more of a threat to her cervix and cervical cancer. But like I said, doggy style. There's a reason for it. Even there's a couple women who admit it. They prefer doggy style, so they don't have to look at the motherfucker when he's banging it and grunting and everything. Plus, most women will admit, motherfucker. Even Bill Bellamy in the old Def Comedy Jam,
Shout out to the brother Bill Bellamy.
He said this in a set about girls when they come, they look pretty, right? Brothers, when we come,
stuttering.
Imagine how that motherfucker sounds. So,
hey, what's the name of the brother that be making all the sounds on the Triple X videos?
No, wait. You
Lexington Steel.
Lexington Steel.
That's Steel. Yeah, that's Steel.
You talk about the nigga sound like you're going Super Saiyan, right?
And on tonight's episode of Z Gone Triple X, Namer makes the Lexington Steel sound. Okay, go ahead, AB. Go ahead.
Well, first of all, don't do it right. Damn, son, where'd you find
But
this?
damn, actually, you sound better than me saying that. That's true.
But
Damn, son. Go ahead.
I wanted to go back to a point you made earlier. I was listening in a little bit before I got on. You mean to tell me these heifers are still crying about dudes that broke their heart in high
AB,
school?
I know you didn't just ask me that question. I
I
know,
mean,
bruh. It's so
really?
evident. Bruh. Toya, am I lying?
I was just about to say, when I came in here, I was using anecdotal things from my high school years. So yeah,
Bruh, it's so. And by the way, I don't think I've heard brothers say some things too, and I'm like, nigga, I know you didn't just say that. So it's not exclusively a woman thing. What I'm
Yeah,
saying is,
no, but
go ahead, AB. Go ahead,
yeah,
because I'm not gonna lose my point. Go
I
ahead.
know, but I'm confused. Like, okay, I've had my heart broken multiple times in high
Mhm,
school. I'm not worried about those people. Some of them are married now, and I'm okay with that.
mhm,
They're living their lives. I'm good. I'm good with that. So, some of
mhm,
the cases it was my fault. What's the?
mhm.
I'm like, but I'm not. I'm not trying to stress on
Well,
the
you
one
sound
chick.
like a grown ass man and not a person that's
I'm not trying to stress
stuck
on a chick
emotionally
that.
when you were 16.
I'm not stressing on a chick that broke my heart when I was in high school. I was a different person back then.
But
AB,
it's
I'll say
go ahead,
this,
go ahead.
bro.
Mhm,
I know a couple women that are 40 plus right now. The one of them in particular I'm thinking of down in Bama.
mhm.
She has told me of at least four relationships from when she was 20. And it's like, yo, you've literally lived like twice
4?
something twice
Bro,
Only
already.
4?
wait, before you go, name before you go, we have to do some real and I put this. I think the people that would be the best at doing this. I'm gonna take this above my head. I'm sending it up to management. This is a BGS Obsidian type of
Okay.
conversation. To me, Obsidian and BGS, I think they would be the best at grappling with this. We really have to have a conversation and nameless. We
Yeah.
have to have a conversation about pre-adult heartbreak, right? Adolescent heartbreak, teenage heartbreak, and how that plays on the minds of adults. And better you were saying, well into their 40s, 50s, y'all. I mean, let's not pretend like we didn't see them 40 something and 50 something year olds calling into Kevin Samuel shows, sounding
Hmm?
like goddamn 14-year olds and 17-year olds.
Mm.
You know what I'm saying? So like you feeling rejected as a post-pubescent young adult, right? As a 16, 17, 18-year old. And the fact that you feeling undesirable as a 16, 17, 18-year old, I now have to grapple with as a man that's trying to date you as a 37-year-old, as a 32-year-old, as a
Mm-hmm.
28-year-old is frightening. And there are too many people, namely women, namely black women, who may not be able to articulate it, but their biggest gripes with men is that when we were boys, we didn't find them attractive, or because we're kind of weird too as kids, we weren't approaching them.
The irony, though, Mr. Z. One of the first things I tell young dudes: don't pay attention to how she look now when she's a teenager, because it might
Hmm.
look better to you when she's older. Oops.
Yeah, and
The
that's all.
the
That's
irony,
all
though.
it is.
And I've told dudes about. I tell young dudes that, like, yeah,
Mhm.
she might look ugly to you now, but maybe she hasn't matured for you yet. Yeah.
Bruh,
Don't be.
there was one particular girl in high school I remember, Asian black mix Jamaican chick. So y'all already, for those of y'all already know them.
Ooh, bless her
Yep.
heart.
Mm. But she had crazy acne in high school. Nigga, I saw right through that acne. I was like, oh, she gonna be bad. Oh, she gonna be bad. And I remember seeing her in college, and me and my sister were talking. I was like, oh, that's the girl I was telling you about. That's the one. That's the one. And she was like, you know who that is? And what I didn't even let her answer. I was like, that's what's her name. I ain't gonna say the girl's name. Especially if she live in South Florida, she gonna know I'm talking about her. Especially if she know who my voice, she gonna know I'm talking about her. And I was like, oh, that's such and such. And she was like, yeah, you liked her back in high school. But nobody like she dated one dude in high school, but he didn't really appreciate her, but he couldn't see past the acne. I saw right past. I was like, bro, she gonna be bad. Ooh, and she was when I saw her in our early mid 20s. I was like,
Mm-hmm.
oh my gosh, she bad. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm saying that to say you're right. It's two ways it goes, right? Some of the girls that are super bad in high school fall off, right? And then
Quickly.
on the vice versa, on the other end, it's the chicks. And y'all like, share, subscribe if you like the conversation. On the other end are the women, the girls that become doves as they grow older, right?
That's the other reason
You know,
I
go
tell
ahead, go
you
ahead.
don't. That's the other reason I tell you don't let these butchers fool you.
Hmm. Yeah,
They
no,
may have been a time or butchers or tomboys fool you. They may be a tomboy, but let them put a dress on. You won't. You be like, wait,
I,
wait. Like you look like a whole different person.
AB, did you check out my video that I did last week where I was like I covered the butch lesbian women speaking about heterosexual relationships?
Yeah, I
Okay,
think
if
I
you didn't,
did.
okay,
That was based off of Shay Shardae's video.
no, not that one. It was one where these sisters out of Chicago. I finally figured out where they're from because they said it on one of the videos. I just wasn't paying attention. They're out of Chicago, and the channel is called A Space for Us, and it's these butch um
No, I missed that one. Go ahead.
lesbian women, and they're speaking, and the way they speak, because I checked out a bunch of videos, the way they speak is like, and this is really kind of a modern woman thing, particularly same-sex loving woman thing. Everything is everything. And so they will admit, like, a butch lesbian chick might pipe a dude, might have sex with a dude,
I believe it.
right? And because that dude is just that attractive to them and that appealing to them,
And they'll
that
go put a dress
every
on and let
ex-
them hit it.
yeah, bro, everything go out the window. All of that, all so let's say I'm not that guy, right? She worked
Mm-hmm.
with me. She like, Z ain't that. Well, man, Z is just a coworker. But then she speak to AB and she's like, it's something about AB, and there you go. And there you and so all the rest of us work with her and we're like, oh, such and such, man, no, she and excuse my language to use this term, but she dyking. That, that's especially in the South, that's how we say it, right? Like, oh, she dyking.
Mm-hmm.
She
Ain't
got a liquor
nobody really saying,
license.
right? No, we don't say that in the South. We straight up, especially black people in the South. No, she dyking. And but then we find out, wait a minute, AB done hit. Oh, AB and her got a little thing going. Like they not a couple or anything, but she slide through to the crib at 2 in the morning, and
Mm-hmm.
like that. Yeah, no, what you're
Mhm.
saying, AB, that's a thing. And like, what's interesting is seeing these butch, same-sex loving women, some of them over like damn near 6 feet, like admitting that, like, yo, like I have a child and it was something about my baby daddy, or like there was this coworker man and like such and such. And remember the whole panel um on that channel is, they're all butch. They're not. There's no femmes there. So I just find that type of
They're
commentary
all
just fascinating.
shout out to the Grinch
And
because he talked about his
Yeah,
mother being that way.
yeah,
yeah. Oh,
Yeah,
and
um,
so
shout out to,
great.
wait, shout out to Avenue Rants. Y'all don't, for those of you that remember old school Black Manosphere, right? Black Manosphere 1.0. If y'all remember Avenue Rants, he was, and if Sarge is listening in, if you Sarge and Avenue Rants went back and forth for a little bit. Avenue Rants' mom was same-sex loving after a while, and he was lamenting the fact that his mom pretty much turned his sister out too, because his sister used to, I remember him very vividly kind of lamenting that, because his sister used to he said, I remember my sister used to have a thing for Asian dudes, and all of a sudden all I know is now she into women, right? And it's like, well, but go ahead. Somebody was about to say something. Was it you, Toya,
I
or
was
who?
about.
I want to.
My bad.
Oh,
I
go on,
mean,
yeah.
it's me. It's me.
Okay.
And that's something that again, I'm a single guy, so you know what I mean. I'm just kind
Hmm.
of observing, but you know, would you say, Mr. Z, that it's fair to say that most women that claim to be lesbian aren't like
No,
truly 100% lesbian? Because that's
Yeah,
what it seems
no.
like to me. You know,
Uh, can
yeah.
I? Okay, the first thing my bad. Were you done? Sorry.
No, go ahead, Leon. Go ahead. I think Big Kev was on. Yeah.
First thing I was gonna say, bro, telling black women that they're dark skinned black women that are married does not stop colorism, because colorism is
Mhm.
not only color, it's the fact that other women can be assholes, but they can't.
Yeah. Yes. Yes. Yeah.
Mm.
But here's the,
That
bro.
was the
Like I
funniest shit
said,
I ever
bro.
heard.
I mean, like dark skin. We're talking about like homegirl. I'm speaking about particularly the one that's coming to mind in particular. Like, and that's what I'm saying. We're not even talking. I want to be very clear, and I chose her on purpose as the example. And there's multiple examples I have because I'm not talking about our mother's age group. I'm not talking about our grandmother's age group. I'm speaking about a woman that just got married maybe uh 4-ish years ago, 3-ish years ago, right? That's even younger than me actually. I'm in my mid 30s, so she's in her like maybe early 30s. Heavy set, dark skinned black woman, right? And like the
Mm-hmm.
reason why I'm saying that, and I'm being very careful, her man ain't a bum. He earned more than her. You know what I'm saying? Like, and she's a correction, so she earned some good money. I'm saying that to say like when you get into the colorism conversation, I do agree with Leon where it's like, but I don't get to be an asshole like the white woman does,
Yeah, the
right?
light skinned girls do.
Yeah,
And
the
other
light skinned girl to be a
light skinned girls get
superhead
the
get to talk
assholes.
crazy and still superhead get to be superhead and talk crazy and still get married. Why can't I do that?
Yep. Then the other part that I
So,
wanted to add, I said
mhm,
it on Gigi's show when he had two ladies up there. I was like,
mhm.
one of these days, black women are going to start telling black guys that they're dating queer and non-binary women and bisexual women, but y'all don't do that. So this is the thing. Like me and Mr. Z can spot it, but plenty of guys don't understand why their relationship ended. And it's like you knew she had a gay homegirl and she hung
Uh-oh.
around some of these girls, but it never
Ooh.
really falls in your mind because in your mind as a guy, you thinking, oh, I'm gonna give me a threesome. I'm gonna give me a threesome, and you might get a threesome, and you might just get cut. More likely, you're
Yep.
gonna get cut. But
Let me
black
say this.
women
They
know
got
this, but they
Cisco.
don't.
Real quick, Leon. Let me pause you real quick, Nema. So it's gonna be me, then Leon finish up, then Nema. What we
Okay.
also don't factor in is the game that black women expose their hand way too much on the internet. That's why I'm saying y'all being too damn loud.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
We have come to the conclusion, and rightfully so. Wait a minute. So that was the game. You fuck
Yeah.
with dudes to have the kid. Then you go back to your same
Yes.
sex loving life. So Ebony K. Williams got money, so she can freeze her eggs and she can go to the sperm bank. These average chicks don't got that type of money. So what they do is they fuck with a dude long enough
Sperm
to get
jacking.
pregnant, and then exactly, and then they dip off. And so the rest of the world is over here chastising this man, but you don't realize that this man realized that he got played, right? So yeah, he knew
Okay.
he should have known better, but really, what happened was this chick played him on some. Yeah, no, I'm over that. I'm not even doing that no more. I'm not even playing around. Like I want to be with a man. Oh, you're the dude. You're the dude that flipped me or whatever. He have sex with her once
Hmm.
again long enough to get pregnant, and then she go back to her lifestyle, right? And so go
This
ahead, Leon, and then name her.
so this is the thing, like I said, with my sister and all those people that wear the nose rings and shit.
Hmm.
But I know enough queer and non-binary women that it's like it's obvious that y'all got baby daddies and y'all date
Hmm.
women. And
Hmm.
most, like I'm saying, most black guys don't understand queer and non-binary women and how they look at relationships and what they use men for and all that type of shit. Most black guys don't get it. They just be like, "Oh, I got me a bisexual girl. She like messing around with girls," and you don't know what the fuck you getting into. You
Hmm.
literally don't
Nope.
know what that girl's reading, and so you get all these guys with ladies that instantly break up with them, take the kid to another state, do all type of shit, and it's like black women have sat down and watched this shit for so long, knowing that these women are not like,
Real quick, Leon.
you know what I'm saying?
Alexa, please play Lil Boosie Day Dyken, please. Go ahead.
Oh yeah, man, I love that song. But that's
Right.
that's really the thing. It's like if black women have this coalition where they know something's wrong, because we know the deal. Black women are the extreme minority, and they get put in their place to get their funding and shit. There's
Mm-hmm.
always a queer woman that wants to
Yo.
be on top of a heterosexual black woman that's especially married. If she's married,
Hmm.
she's on red tape 24/7, shredding. You know what I'm saying. But that's literally the way it is. You got the white feminists up top. You got a whole bunch of queer black women. You got black heterosexual women, bisexual women, and the one that they hate the most is the black married woman
Oh
to a
yeah,
black man.
Oh.
because you symbolize the pinnacle, the penultimate version of what what's antithetical to what their worldview,
Yep.
right? That's what you represent. You willingly, in their mind, you willingly submitted and slaved yourself for a black
Hmm.
man, and not even a rich one. For
Yep.
a average Joe black man, you are married to an average Joe black man, and you wash his dishes and his clothes and suck his dick
Yeah.
and
Hey,
orgasm with him over you. You do that willingly? Oh
Mr. Z,
no, right?
let me
Yeah, go
add
ahead.
one more thing. So the last thing
Hmm.
I'm gonna add to have y'all understand how much black women that are heterosexual have to fall in place. I've been in them Zoom calls where they're like, and I'm indifferent about it. They put themselves in a position that
Hmm.
trans women ain't women or whatever. But when they get on those phone calls, her, she, trans women, okay? they know their fucking role. You know what I'm saying? And I'm
Hmm.
gonna leave it like that.
No,
All
no,
right.
you're gonna make a good point. Real quick, name. So you know what? I'm glad we're having this conversation because I see this as how am I wording this? Modernity turned we
Yep.
I fund and I really wish BGS and Nameless was up here too to kind of rough smooth out the edges of what I'm saying, which is I really see this as us grappling with not ne- I want us to be very clear. We're walking into the era of not necessarily needing each other to survive day to day, but needing each other to survive day to day. What I mean by that is you still need people to participate in the structure. They need to play their role in the structure, but you don't need them
Mhm.
on an individual basis, right? And
Hmm.
because you don't need them on an individual basis, it allows you to be very arrogant about your own autonomy, your own abilities, without realizing how
Okay.
much other people that are playing their role in the system actually allow for you to be this quote unquote autonomous person. You're not. And so when I look at the way Black women in particular are speaking about Black womanhood and the sisterhood, and when you listen to Kim Foster pretty much say like a women over dudes, or like what bitches over niggas or whatever, however she's wording it. When I listen to her say that, I I look at her like, bitch, everything that you are was built off of Martin and Malcolm and Medgar Evers and Mumia
Medgard.
and excuse me, Medgar Evers, Mumia, all of the rest of them, their back is built off of their back. It's built off of Garvey's back. It's built off of even Farrakhan's back. Everything you are. It's not just the black women that y'all say, the sheroes and the women that we don't mention. And yeah, no, it's built off of Booker T. Washington's back,
Hmm.
right? It's built off of Du Bois' back. Everything you are. The fact that you
It's
were able to attend Harvard and then flip that to talking
Okay.
shit about black men was built
Right.
off of black men's back,
Hey,
right?
Mr.
Go
Z,
ahead, go ahead.
here's
Okay,
something
go ahead, Big
else.
Kev, and then Naaman, go ahead. And then
Here's
better you.
something.
As a matter, because Naaman's gonna be long-winded. So Big Kev, better you, then Naaman. Go ahead.
Okay, perfect.
Hmm.
So
I'm gonna try
this
to
is
stay
actually
calm in the meantime.
Hmm.
okay, this is actually something
Go
else that
ahead.
I talked about. How a lot of this whole like female empowerment narrative,
Hmm.
when it comes to the so-called black community, how a lot of this female empowerment narrative is like a bunch of fluff and bullshit. Notice how these people that talk about quote unquote sheroes and women being empowered and stuff like that. Notice how they almost never bring up any of the notable inventors or any of the women that have made like major significant like athletic accomplishments and stuff like that.
Don't care about that. Yep, you're right.
Exactly.
Hmm.
The reason
Don't
why
care
they
about
don't
it.
talk
Hmm.
about this is because if you look into the backgrounds of most of those women, most of those women would be what these women called pygmies. Most of these
But
women
there's
were
a black
married.
man somewhere behind them.
Exactly.
Hmm.
Um, and so because they were married to so-called black men, they had kids with so-called black men, and oftentimes their husbands are oftentimes their biggest supporters. That
Hmm.
kind of erodes that whole feminist worldview that well-behaved women so to make history and whatnot, and also erodes the worldview of this whole black male privilege narrative. You know what I mean? So instead of
I would
acknowledging that,
add to
what they
that
want to do is that they ignore those people.
real quick, Big Kev. I'll add to that. That also speaks to black men not giving a fuck about whether you're the one that's in the spotlight. We black men, especially West, I'll include myself, even though I'm Haitian descent. We don't give a fuck if you're the face. We don't. If we gotta play in the background and make sure the family's straight while you black. That's what slavery did. Black men don't care about being the face. If you're the face, that's why I even though I'm not for this surface level fake ass egalitarian shit these people talking, they're really not. Because I know they're not. Because if you put black women in the position to be not even just the head of the household, but the face, then they start acting like assholes. And the reason why is because they think you should be there. They just want you to be there and still defer to them,
Mm.
right? So
Exactly.
Be Superman, but act like Clark Kent all the time.
No. Be Superman, but do it for free.
Right? Well, yeah, that's even better. That's even better. That's even better.
Yeah, do it
Right?
for free. And shout out to Ezzy, that Ezzy Nazarene. He talked about that. He's like, their idea of a good man means
Mhm.
if you were a good man, you do it for free. No,
Yeah.
you shouldn't. You
And
know.
and let's be very clear what you're saying by do it for free, Big Kev. It's not about the money. We're not telling women to literally come out the pocket. Maybe sometimes, but what we're saying is do it for free, as in I'm not gonna be feminine in your presence. I'm not gonna be kind in your presence.
Yeah, I'm
I'm
just gonna
not
be a
going
total
to be
asshole in your
I'm gonna be
presence.
an asshole, but I still need you to be a stoic, stiff upper lip above my snarkiness and my attitude ass man. And that's not a thing. Go ahead, Big Kev. Mhm,
Yeah, yeah.
mhm,
So that's the reason why. Because when I look at stories when I look at stories like when I look at women like Allison Felix, right? I mean,
mhm,
this woman has more Olympic medals than any other Olympic athlete in history.
mhm.
Like almost 40 medals between gold, silver, and bronze.
Okay.
But yet
Real quick, let me pause you real quick, Big Kev. I'm about to run downstairs and get another drink because I just knocked out. I don't know. There's this new company. What's it called? Monaco. It's kind of trying to compete against My Hard Lemonade. It's
Monaco.
alrightish. Yeah, Monaco. Thank you. But is it Monaco? It is Monaco. That is. It is.
Spell it for me.
I'm
Spell
a.
it for me.
No, it's Monaco. It's Monaco. So you're right. It's Monaco. Yeah, I'm going downstairs
Monaco.
to
Yep.
get another. I'm going to get another one. AB, you're in charge. AB, you still there?
Yeah, I'm serious.
So, okay, AB, you're in charge for the next, like, I don't know, 30 seconds to 60 seconds. All right, go ahead, Big Kev.
But yeah, that's something that I find very interesting is because when you look at women such as Allison Felix, she has like 40 medals. She like barely gets talked about. I'm like, if that was anybody else, we'd be like, holy crap, man, like 40 medals, that's awesome. But I think
Not
because she's
just
very
her. Not just her. Gabby Douglas.
yep,
Who
Gabby
else?
Douglas,
Simone.
yep,
Simone Biles. Well, they
Simone
talked about
Biles,
her.
Oh, guys, they're heterosexual. No, non-bisexual.
true,
Yeah,
yep,
Don't
no, they drugged
forget.
Simone. They
yep,
drugged Simone because she was
Don't
so
forget.
practical.
yep.
Yeah,
Don't
they drugged
forget
Simone
about
because she.
in the '80s. Don't forget in the '80s, Jackie Joyner Kersey and Florence Griffin Joyner,
Griffith Joyner, yep,
sister-in-laws.
FloJo,
Yeah,
yep.
but
Rest in peace,
hold on, wait a
FloJo,
minute.
yep.
Wait a
Sorry.
minute. Wait a minute, Neighbor. But he's right.
Sorry.
They dragged Simone because she was practical for a wedding. I'm like, it's her wedding, and she grown. What y'all complaining about?
Exactly right. Like you niggas ain't paying, so why the fuck do you care? You know? I'm like, if anything, they're playing it smart. They're
Oh,
saving
yeah,
money.
yeah.
Like, how the hell are you gonna be mad at her for saving money? Don't make no sense. You know? But yeah, or like when you talk about or when you look at when I look up women like I think Dr. Gladys West, if I'm not mistaken, she helped invent the GPS system.
Mm-hmm.
Or women like
Oh
was
yeah,
it?
that drives me up a wall. They
Yep.
want to talk about all the stuff women invented, but they can't name one person that name one black woman that actually invented something. But when you ask
Exactly.
them, they
Yeah.
can't name the actual black woman who actually invented something. There have been a few.
Yeah, yeah. Like you could talk about like Mary Kenner who helped invented like the sanitary napkin, or like women like Marie von Braun who helped invent the home security, like the home security system through with
Right.
like the camera
Damn, so
surveillance
mad,
system.
man.
You know, I'm like, and I'm looking, and I'm sitting here, I'm like, wow. I mean, you have all these so-called black women that made all these awesome inventions, yet You niggas claim you're for female empowerment. How come you niggas never talk about them?
Bruh.
Oh, wait,
Kev,
that's right,
Kev.
because they're married to so-called black men. So, see, they're a pick-me, and see, y'all can't talk about pick-me's because then you would start to contradict yourself, you know?
Well,
Black,
Kev,
wait a minute, real quick,
okay.
baby. Wait a minute, wait a minute. Big Kev, are you talking about black men that support their black wives? Or is
Yeah.
that what you're talking about?
Yeah.
Yeah, nah, no, sir. Look, we're wannabe patriarchal asshole, homophobic, transphobic, colorist, texturist, featurist, mean, here's the funny part, soft, feminized, wannabe patriarchal men. I know a lot of that shit contradict it. That's besides the point, and it's not supposed to make sense. Go ahead, better you.
Well, to kind of piggyback off a little bit of what Kev was saying with Maria von Britten, part of it is two reasons. One, I think that the home security system, especially when you're talking about a woman having that sense of security and safety in today's modern age, I think that is one of the most pivotal inventions to enable that. But also, she developed that in concert with her husband because her husband was an electrical engineer.
Yep.
And
Exactly.
he did the wiring for the damn thing.
Yep.
So it's one of those where I don't believe that it's a. I feel like this. A lot of them want to rewrite history and write men and their contributions out of history. There's the belief that, honestly, in my estimation, from the people I've spoken to, even in just grade school who teach young boys and girls, it is not uncommon to find a black teacher who has the sentiment, something along the lines of our young black boys are defective. And I really just want them to come to class, sit down, shut up, get your F in silence.
And let me tell you, it goes towards young black girls too, because the first teacher to tell me that I was stupid was a black woman.
Wow.
I can believe it.
I can't imagine telling a child, maybe because I'm not a parent and I'm not frustrated yet, but I can't imagine telling a child that you're stupid. I don't even know if I as frustrated as I've been with some of the brothers in the Black Master, I don't know if I don't think I've ever said that to anyone.
In her defense, I was a little smart ass when I was in 6th grade, and I called her on something that she was wrong on.
I was look, in the 6th grade, Toya, I got suspended like 4 times. I left the school that I was at. Oh yeah, Mr. Z was come on, Toya, you hear that sound? Come on now, y'all know Mr. Z was a know-it-all. Y'all know Mr. Z was a whole menace in 5th, 6th, 7th grade. Boy, you couldn't tell me nothing.
I only got suspended once, and it was for fighting because I was beating up a bully.
No, that's just.
Was the bully a male or female?
He was a male.
No, you know what?
Did he identify?
I'm gonna tell you about my sister later.
Wait, hey, what did Sudare say again? Go ahead, Toya. For all of you that know about Naruto, go ahead.
But no, he was a bully, so he had to come into him, and I didn't see anything wrong with me beating him up because he was beating up one of my friends. So I was like, well, if you're gonna do that to my friend, then I'm gonna do it to you.
Mm-hmm. No, rightfully so. Look, I'm not against that. Hey, I'm not.
I didn't know Toya Box sold his gloves in New Jersey.
Right, hysterical.
It's crazy. I mean, I've even along the sentiment though, to Toya's point. The only negative experience I've had in education was when I was getting my master's degree. And I've touched on it a little bit before in the past, but my professors, it was my first time having a black professor, and she talked to me like a fucking dog. And I remember the comments that she made was basically, at the end, she was like, yo, I'm so disappointed in you. Like, I expected so much more. Like, I guess it was wrong of me to get my hopes up and this, that, and the third. You obviously are intellectually lacking in some. When I tell you, like, straight crazy, if you was in my face, I would slap the shit out you.
What did the 5 fingers say to the face?
What?
But like that type of sentiment though isn't uncommon. I've dated for whatever reason. I've dated a lot of teachers. I've dated 5. 3 of them have said something along the lines of like, "Yo,
I've
I
only
believe."
dated one teacher.
Oh, for real?
Yeah, I've dated one teacher. She had a master's degree too. I'm not gonna lie. So, interrupt you for 1 second.
Mhm.
Better you. So, I I will admit she was smarter than me. More. This is the one time where I was in over my head, and I can admit it. She was smarter than me. She was more disciplined than me. She was more well traveled than me, and she was from the Northeast. I was in over my head. I was just more charismatic than her. I pulled her straight off of um Southern Haitian
What type of game were you running?
swag. I pulled her straight off of, and she was a caramel redhead, redhead, and an army brat. Talking about Leon, and an army brat. Um, and
Ooh,
so,
and the combination.
oh
Wait a
man,
minute, you can't speak Creole that good.
yeah, my Creole sucks. No, I mean I just pulled her off of that type of swag. South Florida Haitian swag, and I'm not gonna lie, I was in over my head, but I dated her, and for I'm not gonna lie, we ended because of my lack of maturity. I'm not even gonna lie to y'all, but at the time, but it was very interesting speaking to her, and yeah, like better you were saying, teachers, black women teachers, particularly the really smart ones that if they went to go get their PhD, they would be professors. Like they just don't have the time or the inclination to go out to do that, but they have the intelligence. Like she didn't even have a TV in her apartment type shit, right? Like that's the type of woman we're talking about.
Okay.
So how you Netflix and chill?
Oh boy.
Laptops.
Who said anything about
Laptops.
Netflix? Who said anything about Netflix? Anyway, but yeah, so
Oh, she wasn't lacking that department. Huh? Okay.
no, we ain't no Netflix. The chill part though, but
Mm.
yeah. So no, it was very interesting dating her and listening to her speak. And here's the kicker, right? The world is so small. The world is so small. Come to find out, one of the white guys I used to chill with, actually a really really close friend at the time, um, his daughter graduated middle school, and when I looked at the
Mhm.
pictures he posted of his daughter graduating middle school, guess who one of her teachers was?
The girl you were dating, old dreadhead.
Hey, the world is small, y'all. The world is smaller than you think.
What were the
Right?
odds of that?
What a
What a
what a
world! What a
coinky.
world!
Okay,
But yeah, go
let me
ahead,
know
better you.
when
Wait,
you guys
wait,
are
wait,
ready
wait,
for
better
me to
you.
get long winded.
Yeah, go ahead, better you. Go ahead and name it.
Yeah, I mean, just wrapping it up though. It is
Who
that
was just up?
sentiment.
Give me a second. Somebody was
Okay.
just up and I missed it. I was about to add you to the stream, but you jumped off. I don't know who that was, but go ahead.
Just to wrap it up, like it's it's that type of sentiment that's behind a lot of things, and the reason why they won't touch on a lot of those stories to kind of circle it all back is simply because if there's a man involved anywhere in any constructive capacity, then it kind of shoots down, it undermines that whole narrative. Like if you one of these dudes who come home and you like Mortal Kombat uppercut your wife or your daughters every fucking day, they go tell that story. The
Yeah.
guy who was loving and caring and nurturing and who actually supported and bought into a particular vision and helped them
Mm-hmm.
see it to
To
fruition.
fruition. Yeah. Go ahead.
I had too many drinks. Yeah, they don't want that story. Like you toxic, all the other shit.
All
Look, D,
right.
I don't need you talking about FSU down by 3. I'm not even a football head, but I already know. Go ahead. But no. So yeah, no, I remember who was I don't remember who I was watching. It was either Dr. Umar Johnson lecture or something along
Uh
the lines where a woman stood up
oh.
and said, you know, essentially her and her boyfriend at the time used to get into fisticuffs. They weren't. It wasn't him. It wasn't him abusing her. It was they were in a fight and she lost, right? And she might
Mm.
even jumped it off in the beginning, but they refuse to cover those type of stories, right? The feminists refuse to speak about a woman starts it and then a man finishes its stories. They always
Reciprocated
need the.
violence.
Wait, say that again?
Reciprocated violence.
Yeah, exactly.
I try to
They
talk to
refuse
mine
to
about it.
cover that. They refuse to cover that story. So reciprocated violence. They refuse to say that story. They speak about the man comes in, his food's not on the table, and he just goes the backhand and all the women in the house type stories. They never talk about a
With the
woman
white
starts
beater
being
on.
physical. Exactly right, literally with the wife beater on, beating his wife.
Ellen Pence.
They never speak about the we get into an argument, you put your hands on me, I attempt to restrain you, it's a little difficult and I gotta handle you in a certain way. That's not the narrative. The narrative is this drooling on the mouth, super ultra freaking violent. This is when you get into like the patriarchal talk, right? The super ultra violent he-man woman hater talk. And I don't
Um,
at least in the black community, I'm I don't know how much that exists in the black community, especially post
Mm-hmm.
1980. Like I don't know how much that
the,
exists in the black community. But go ahead.
so the issue with measuring, domestic violence in the black community is pretty fucking complex. So if they say there's a load of domestic violence here, right? And I say, cool, I accept that, but would you accept that these people were breathing in lead poisoning from paint and everything else?
Yep, yep,
I'm like, do
yep.
y'all want to add the science side to it?
No, they
And
don't.
y'all don't want to add that, but y'all want to utilize it, even though crime rates and everything went down after they took out all the lead and asbestos.
Facts.
Okay, cool.
Facts.
So
It's not
so
good for
like,
optics.
Mm.
see,
Or narrative.
my issue is like my head's packed full of stuff, but I
Mhm.
don't know how to go on YouTube and articulate it. But when you're talking about Ellen Pence and reciprocated violence, she was fully
Mhm.
well aware. Um, she said they weren't primarily focused on the women's behavior, that she knew that women had a propensity for violence. She was well aware. And basically what she said was, we're not really focused on women saying things, being hyper aggressive, throwing stuff, withholding
Mhm.
sex for any reason. We're not focused on them actually putting their hands on them. We're trying to figure out how to combine these three systems to benefit women, because the
Let me say this
systems
real quick,
weren't
Leon.
combined.
Like, share, subscribe, hit the super chat. We got Toya up here, Leon up here, Name up here, Better You up here, right? We got some talk. Big Kev
When's
up
Nemo
here,
gonna get a
right?
chance to
AB
talk and get
up
more
here,
attention?
right? Name up here. So y'all like, share, subscribe, hit the super chat. Go ahead, Leon.
So, I'm talking to my aunt and I'm like, look, this is what you said. It's all documented. You're on
Mhm.
this campaign for respect, protect, and all that type of shit. I was like, I respect that, but if you're really gonna solve the issue, you have to just start it from where it starts from, and it starts with young um people in relationships. I was like, if you can't start it from there before you go to the pimps and the players and all that, you can't really solve it. I said, these people have domestic violence because they're under economic stress. So started from there.
Mhm.
Expectations in relationships. Guys that can't meet the means or the needs of the person they're with when they have a fucking kid or they're living together. I was like, but if you don't focus on reciprocated violence, you can't solve the shit because you're only focused on the male's behavior. And she was like, that's misogynistic. And I'm just like, this is what it is. The majority is between two grown adults. Y'all are focused on the action that the guy takes. You're not focused on how to
Mhm.
actually fix this shit. I was like, it's like me telling you to go, okay, the guys are the problem that are picking up girls from school. All of y'all watch y'all friends get in grown guys' cars, right?
Mhm.
Yeah, but y'all don't say anything
Mm-hmm.
because it's part of your sister code, and she comes with a bag, some new clothes. But it's cool until she gets punched in the face or found in a trash can.
Yeah.
I was
Oh,
like, y'all don't want to change the culture to where your homegirls getting
They
something
just
from a
want to
grown
win
man.
at every and I agree
Yes,
with Leon there. The
winning at
issue
all
isn't
costs.
the culture in their mind. The issue
win
is
at all
that we don't
costs.
win every single time.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
We need to come up a win. We need to have a win in every scenario. And if we don't
Right.
have a win in
Mm-hmm.
every scenario, then the system's rigged. It's like
It
no.
is
This
rigged.
first of all, even if it is rigged, okay, fine. Let's say it's rigged. You don't have to actually have a problem with it until you don't win every single time.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
That's if we
And
grant you that it's rigged. But go ahead.
I ended with this part.
Hmm.
I told her simply, why don't y'all influence and incentivize young girls to snitch on their friends until it's part of the culture that this won't be going on. So when they get in the car with the older guy, snitch. Because all the girls know after she's found dead, yeah, this was the guy she was, yeah. You know what I'm saying? So I was like, y'all can change the culture from middle school or high school and incentivize girls to tell on each other. And it's just become
Yeah.
normal that this is something y'all don't do. But the
Okay.
man, I get it.
Real
Yeah.
quick, because I
And
want
then
to say this
so,
before you go. Better you, because I'm not better you, Big Kev. I want to actually get kind of go into this. I find, and it's actually a kind of a little personal on Leon's part. What you were saying about being raised as an army brat and the insight that you have as an army brat in particular, and the insight of your sister, who I assume is what, your younger sister? Your younger sister,
Older
older
sister.
sister. Okay, your older sister and her development as a a female army brat and
Hmm.
her worldview, right? I find that I actually maybe want to actually do a dedicated video to that if you don't mind, because I think
Yeah.
that's even if you could actually get her to come on, because I find that
No, she won't. She won't.
okay.
She's an asshole. My sister's an asshole.
Oh, I find
She's
that interesting because though I think we're gonna have to start I have an extended family member, woman who is divorced and n- like rumor in the rumor mill is now she's same sex loving and she's a whole professor, PhD and
hmm
all, y'all, PhD and all, black obviously Haitian descent woman, but black woman, right? Tall, even for her age, gorgeous, light skinned black woman, used to have dreads, like the only thing she was missing was the tattoos in the nose, in the nose ring or the septum piercing, right?
hmm
But right, I I think it's fascinating when we start speaking about these things and how we fit into stereotypes, but yet think that we are doing what we're doing out of our own agency. But yet
It's
I can
not.
line up exactly. I can line up a million different other women, black women who move and think just like you, and then I can show you the line on why they do and how it's very, very predictable, extremely
Yeah.
predictable. But yeah,
And
Big
that's
Kevin,
what I was.
go Leon, and then Big Kevin and Nema. I know Nema, I
But
keep on pushing you back,
that's
but
what
yeah.
I was saying. When
Hmm.
it the only group that I leave out the mix really is
Hmm.
just regular enlisted military army. When it comes
Hmm.
to the Air Force and the Navy, they're financially more stable, and they deal with money better than Army.
Hmm.
Enlisted. But the officers, their kids don't grow up in our neighborhoods. They grow up in separate neighborhoods because they're officers.
Hmm.
They don't supposed to congregate. So
Yep.
these kids have complexes and they dress different. And they when they go out, they hang out with all the off brand white people and
Yeah.
other people. But
There's
the thing
something to be
is,
said about being a black person in a, let's call a thing, a
my
white
woman's kind of
military.
like that too.
All right. Say that again.
Kind of like that. My woman's kind of like that
Yeah,
too.
yeah, yeah, and that's what I'm
Kind of
saying.
like
So like,
that.
there's something to be said about uh, being a black child raised in being the black child of a black military
Yeah.
officer who's in predominantly white spaces. Us, and
Hmm.
then that we didn't even factor class yet, and then now you're in
Yeah.
predominantly white spaces with more elite and affluential military families. Oh boy, you're not gonna have nothing in common with other black folks, and you will most likely be have a very skewed worldview when it comes to other black
Well,
folks. Yeah.
well,
There's a
they're not pro black. That's the thing. They're not pro black because just like I finally watched that video today, the lady's not pro black.
Hmm.
She's not even pro black woman.
Yeah.
And my sister said basically Oh, I noticed that everybody that went for STEM degrees that was like that, they're
Mhm.
perfectly normal people. But the ones that went for liberal arts,
Mhm.
psychology degrees, they're the fucking weirdos because they continue down that path of hanging out with those group of people in academia.
Mm.
I'm just gonna put it like that. And they're not loyal to black women. That's why I'm trying to say, like, black women are well aware of queer, non-binary, lesbian, and their place within that sisterhood. It's not that
Yeah.
fucking great for them.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I agree with that. Okay, so I guess Big Kev dropped for a minute. But no, Big Kev's still there. I think who was trying to say something? Big Kev, were you trying to say something? And then we gotta get where's Namer?
Yeah.
Namer dropped.
Yeah. Oh yeah,
Okay.
never tried. I think he
Okay.
probably just
Disconnected. Oh
yeah.
no, he's in the back. Okay. Yeah, there we go. Okay, go ahead, Big Kevin and Namer. Go ahead.
Yeah, and then what happened to my other point, yeah, about domestic violence is that yeah, that's something that
Mhm.
people don't want to acknowledge. It's like, they want to talk about we gotta talk about the men,
And we
experiencing
got about
domestic
10 minutes,
violence.
everyone. 10 minutes. But go ahead.
Yeah, I'm about to drop down.
Um
I'll catch you later.
yeah,
All right, AB. Thank you for coming up, AB, and yeah,
yeah,
man.
thank you for coming up,
Yeah.
baby, man.
Hmm.
Thank you.
Peace out.
Hmm.
Yeah, but something else that that even Dr. Tia Son Johnson and Dr. Tommy Curry talked about when it comes to domestic violence is this: is that
Hmm.
empirically speaking, the three biggest factors that's going to affect whether or not a man instigates domestic violence are um, how much money he makes, all right, whether or not the woman instigates, whether or not the woman is violent or disrespectful towards him, and
Hmm.
if he's on any type of like hard drugs or alcohol, like if he abuses hard drugs or alcohol. So if he's sober, if he makes decent money, and if she's not talking to him crazy, the likelihood he's just gonna fly into a rage and punch her in the face is very low.
Bro, that's not a thing that at least black men. I don't know about white dudes and Latinos and Asians, but I the black men, whether they're ADOS or not, that I've been around, for them to put I just like put their hands on their woman, like black her eye. I
It's because it's a standard amongst us
yeah, bro. Like
to take shit.
I don't know, yeah, because I'm trying to think of your friend or associate knowing you did that and like
Hmm.
what that's like afterward. You see what I'm saying? So like, yeah, man. And the way people, I'm with Big Kev on this. The way people talk about these things so flippantly, like, yeah, they can't lie and say that that's a black man thing. That's not a black man thing, bro. Yeah, that's not.
It's
Yeah,
not.
and then
Never
It's a
was.
financial
Mhm,
burden type of thing.
yep, like I said, yeah.
Reciprocated type of thing.
mhm,
Not understanding abuse until you feel like niggas feel like she's not having sex with me. She's saying all this shit, and she's talking shit to me, and then he flips out. But I've had babysitters beat the shit out of their wives. But
yeah,
these are borderline jarheads,
yeah.
loose screws military guys.
And that's what I'm saying. So like at the
PTSD
end
and
of the day,
all.
that's what I'm saying. So at the end of the day, like when I would I could actually make an argument that black men are not only that, we're probably the most tolerant because our women are maybe some of the most verbally abusive people on the fucking face of the earth. So so it stands to reason
Disrespectful. Say it.
out on another yeah,
Disrespectful.
on another level. And so like when you bro when you think about a
And they're
person coming out
incentivized
the
to do
mouth
so.
on some small dick motherfucker. Da, 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 da. It's like, wait a minute, right?
Excuse me, G.
And real quick, Nima, when you deal with that, like, and you think about the fact that niggas like, man, fuck her. Like the fact that the most you get from niggas is fuck that bitch after
Yeah.
all the verbal abuse and maybe even physical. The fact that the most we have is man, fuck that bitch. It's crazy.
Yeah,
That's
but
crazy. Yeah.
but
But
listen
so
though, they're not
Leon,
they're
finish up
not
and
safe.
then Nima, go ahead. Mhm.
But they're not safe walking around the block when a guy says, "What's up, shorty?" and he's like, "Let me get your number." Then he
Exactly.
fucking stabs her. The most crazy
Yeah, yeah.
examples,
They come out with
and
bro.
then black guys just sit back and watch. And
Yeah.
I know that does happen, and I'm guilty of sitting back and watching because that shit ain't none
Hmm.
of my business. I know
Hmm.
homie's a drug dealer, and it's like, I could shoot him, but I'm
Wait, wait,
nah,
wait, wait, wait,
I'm
wait,
not
wait,
doing
wait,
that.
wait, 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 wait. Did she not know that homie was a drug dealer? or was she enjoying those nice trips to Miami and
Well,
and
it's not
the
even
fact that
that.
he put rims on her car and whatever, and now that it flipped on the other side and he's showing his ass, now you
Well,
feel a certain way.
well, I'm not saying it to that drastic extreme. Like there's
Hmm.
there's there's brothers out in the street, ladies is walking. They probably had a bad day, and a nigga said something to them, and they're
Hmm.
like "fuck you," and then that random guy flips the fuck out. Like I have I talked to mine. She's like, now sometimes you just want to be like "fuck you, nigga," blah blah blah, and, And I'm just thinking like, but that guy just probably wants to do something to somebody. I'll just tell you to put your
Yeah,
head down and keep on walking, but they don't want to do that.
yeah. Because he might have even barked on a man. I get what you're saying. Yeah, I get what you're saying. Yeah, and you just happen to be the person where for today is not your day and today is not his day,
Hmm.
right? Yeah. No, no, I agree with that. I agree with that. Go ahead, Namer.
Okay. Finally, yeah, I had to change phones. Excuse me about
Hmm.
that. Okay, now, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to Mr. Z After Dark, where guest Nema will continue the significance of the doggy style, and
Hysterical. Yeah, no, no.
and will
Actually, I want
also.
you to go into detail of that about that for real because that was actually a really good take that you had. Hmm.
I was good. Yeah, not only that, I
Hmm.
had to add something extra because not only do I have to mention doggy style, but
Hmm.
also reverse cowgirl, because both positions.
Mm. Hmm.
Think about it this way: these women. I remember it was a YouTuber who explained this, but I already knew this a long time ago because I had a home. There was a homegirl I used to know back home who was involved with guys, right? And I
Hmm.
told, and I was like, and because I remember watching the Bill Bellamy joke, I looked at it and said, most of the dudes you bang, they probably like come too quick, or they just look ridiculous when they busting up, right? So you just gotta manually stimulate yourself and hit it from the
No.
back, right? So I said, yeah, yeah. I said, they don't give you head none of that, right? This is Eritrea, folks. This is in Africa. But understand if you're gonna be with somebody like this and you're revolted by him, the significance of those two positions. One,
No.
you don't have to look at them when they're giving it to you because they can just drift off and pretend it's somebody else, somebody they can desire. So when they're imagining somebody else giving it to them, somebody they prefer, hitting it from the back, or in their case, they're riding it reverse cowgirl, it is for them. You think she's giving it to
Wait,
you
wait,
for validation.
rewind, Nemo, because I wasn't paying attention. Rewind 30 seconds. When they reverse cowgirl,
Well, it's
it's
either
for
reverse
them.
cowgirl
Yeah.
when it's whether they're riding you reverse cowgirl
Hmm.
or they're letting you hit it from the back.
Hmm.
Because either way, they're probably going to be doing some manual stimulation at the same time. By the way,
Mm.
little side note here, folks, and I mentioned this to Toya once.
Hmm.
Here's something you don't know about the female or about female anatomy. And I remember this on an episode of one show on the Discovery Channel. Had Maggie Gyllenhaal when they were talking about the female orgasm.
Hmm.
It was discovered in the 19th century by the niece of Napoleon
Mm.
because they were discussing about the female orgasm back then. A woman has to use the top half of her thumb to measure the distance between her clit and her
Hmm.
vaginal opening. If the distance is greater, she cannot achieve an orgasm by penetration alone. She needs manual clitoral stimulation. That's something people need to understand. Now, when a woman like what's his face is getting it from the is letting the dude hitting it from the back, or she's riding it cowgirl, whether
Hmm.
she's leaning forward or leaning back, and she's manually stimulating herself, that's to help herself get off. But in her mind, it's somebody else that she's fucking.
Mm.
Even though you're
Y'all
hitting
like,
it,
share, subscribe, hit the super chat.
you're hitting
Hmm.
it, but even though you're hitting it, you think, oh right, yeah, I'm the man. No, she's thinking about
Hmm.
somebody else hitting it, even though it's
Hmm.
you in there.
Hmm.
She's probably conjuring up memories of certain guys who she probably let it hit.
Hmm.
With that being said, and by the way, I
Hmm.
need to piggyback on some very important points that Leon mentioned about the whole bisexual thing. Z, let me as our resident R&B head. Do you remember an artist named Ray? Do you
Hmm.
remember back in like 06, 07, there was an artist named Ray Lavender? Do you remember
Lavender
Ray
name sound
Lavender?
familiar. Give me the song. Give me the song. Give me the song. The biggest song.
My
As a
girl
matter of fact,
got
let me
a
see. Let me see.
my girl My girl got a girlfriend.
Oh yeah.
That
Yes.
nigga.
I remember that song.
My girl got a girlfriend. Or if you remember, we can even go back further, a decade before. Drew Hill, sleeping in my bed.
Oh yeah. Yep. Come on,
A
man. Like that.
lot
That
of
was one of their biggest songs. But yeah.
yes, in my bed. Of course, I never understood the remix, the So Def
I didn't
remix.
like the remix as much as the original was the better one.
Yeah, me personally, my own personal experiences. Because remember, I told you I got involved with a bisexual chick, and whose ex girlfriend, a lesbian, I was cool with. Hell, she had two. I was cool with them before I got involved with her. And apparently, as somebody with borderline personality, I
Honky
have what's
bang.
called the P. As somebody like as someone who has BPD, folks, I'm like the Black Pete Davidson, so I'm the rebound guy in certain situations. I'm sorry to admit it. Hey, I gotta admit it. It's rebound guy energy apparently I have. But most guys, like Leon said, have that mistake when they get in with a bisexual chick. Even a lesbian comedian named um, what's her name? What's her name? I forgot her name. No, it's she was from she was on the Latin Queens of Comedy.
hmm
She's lesbian, and she said, "Fellas, don't get comfortable when you get with a bisexual chick, because sometimes bisexual means bye bye,
mm.
goodbye. Don't because she's with you, she's not into your fantasy. Even if you think a threesome or anything like that, she's not going to be comfortable with it because you have to remember at the end of the day, she's still a woman. And bisexual chicks will admit that they have a hard time in either whether it's same sex or opposite sex relationships. But bisexual people usually get the most flack for being bisexual from their homosexual or friend from their homosexual counterparts. Same
Yeah.
way that a left-handed person looks at somebody's ambidextrous sideways.
Let me cut you off, Name because I'm about to end it. Okay, so that look, you know, when it comes to the same-sex relationship thing, look, we live in a
Mm-hmm.
modern society. As a lefty, I am not about legislating against this shit. I am not
Mm-hmm.
about um but
Yeah.
they're not the primary source of relationships. They are
Nope.
not, and I don't even see it. I don't see it in the foreseeable future of the
Mm-hmm.
majority of people being same-sex loving, particularly exclusively same-sex loving. I just don't see
Who's
it,
typing?
especially amongst the men, right? So,
Yeah.
I don't really care what these people do with their intimate lives, um,
Mm-hmm.
but when it comes to the rhetoric and the
Yes.
language. And once again, y'all like, share, subscribe, hit the super chat. When it comes to the
Yes.
rhetoric and the language
Uh-huh.
about heterosexual relationships, and then
Mm-hmm.
these particular people having positions in academia or positions as thought leaders, or and I mean thought as in mind, not thought as in action. But thought
To
leaders,
think, not the that hole over there.
right? Exactly, exactly. But you know, when these people are thought leaders, when they are social media commentators, God forbid they are the aide to a important politician or they are the important politician. These
See.
people's worldview being the ones that are in charge of creating
Mm-hmm.
legislation or being the ones that propagate certain ideas and sentiments in our society, that to me is when we get into a very, very dangerous place, right? And I want us to be mindful of that. Because 5, 10, 15% of the population, 20% of the population, their worldview being the predominant and prevailing worldview, and this is why you also see me push back on a particular brand of capitalism, et cetera, et cetera. Just because it benefits 1/5 of us, um, 1/4 of us, and that's even greater. But and usually it's not even 1/4. It's 1/5. It's 1/10. It's 1/6, right, of us. Does not mean that this worldview is the one that's beneficial to the masses. Just because you just so happen to be a person who is not necessarily happy with your romantic outcomes, and then you do the same sex loving thing, or let's just say that you even came out the gate same sex loving, or in the black community, you came out the gate swirling and divesting, does not mean your worldview is going to be beneficial for the majority of people. even if even if you claim to be um for the empowerment and the betterment of black women, your worldview, Chrissy, Yanni, um, Paris, Cynthia G, Crystal and Karazin, etc., Sierra Seven, name them. Your worldview is not beneficial for the masses of black people, black women. The masses of Americans don't got two sticks to rub together. That's the truth. That's
Mhm.
the truth. Y'all keep these women single for entirely too long. Y'all keep them miserable for entirely too long. Y'all give them this airy fairy, the white man is gonna come and save you from your own fuck ups idea, and it doesn't happen.
Mhm.
And what's beautiful about the internet, and what's beautiful about the fact that some of us are downloading y'all videos, is that the internet is forever. The internet will expose us all, and it's gonna be interesting to see where you are and where your subscribers are in 15 and 20 years. And yeah, niggas is gonna dox y'all eventually. Eventually, we're all gonna be doxxed, most likely. And when niggas dox y'all, and we see how
Hopefully
you
not.
look, and then we're able to explain why the fuck you sound the way you do, right? When we're able to
Mhm.
explain why you're so goddamn miserable, now what, right?
Excuse me, Z.
You got to be careful on your worldview, and especially what you which you spread on the internet. I was gonna say espouse, but no, what you propagate on the internet. You gotta be, and some of y'all, the Chrissies and the Crystal and Kerosene, y'all help to make these people extremely extreme, extremely extreme, extremists,
Mhm.
extremely extreme extremists, right? Y'all help to create that. And then when those people say and do wayward stuff, now y'all want to start backtracking. That's Bill O'Reilly territory. That's Fox News shit. That's
Okay, we'll go
yeah.
live.
I help to seed the ground to create the extremists, but then when they say something extreme, oh my God, we do, no, 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 right? And go ahead, Naaman. We're about to end out.
I think one
Oh,
thing we have to understand,
Mhm.
folks, excuse me. I think one thing people are missing in all of this is we're focused on the septum piercing, but
Mhm.
I see the bigger picture because my OCD being what it is, connecting all the dots. The septum piercing has been around for a while because remember, before everybody was getting the septum piercings, everybody was getting the gauges in their ears, stretching out their earlobes. They were getting all kinds of tattoos, certain tattoos they were having, some getting multicolored dreadlocks, like in some cases. Everything is a progression. A generation
Mhm.
ago, a lot of them were sporting dreadlocks and they had the African pendants. Some had even had box braids. This is all, and some were even sporting afros at one time. You remember, like everybody was rocking the fro after India Arie, cut her dreadlocks and grew her hair back.
Mhm. I am not my harass. India Ari, go ahead.
Yeah,
Mhm.
these are all people.
By the way, one
Look,
of the most beautiful, intimate songs is that I am not ready for love, bruh.
mhm.
Well, I'm ready for love, not I am not. I am ready for bruh. India Ari killed that. Go ahead.
You remember Heather Headley or
Do I
Headley?
know that name? No.
She was, yeah, my brother. There's a song my brother loves because he's also an
Mhm.
R&B head.
Mhm.
It's about
You know the song if you heard it, Z. It's so annoying.
Really? Okay.
there's another
Okay.
song, yeah. There's another
Mhm.
song I can talk about. It's called "In My Mind," where he's
No,
talking.
that
She
that
talks.
song, yes. No, that song I do know. In my mind,
Yeah,
yes.
in my mind. Yeah, he talks about that song because that's also
Hmm.
significant. But
Hmm.
all these things that you see, some women, starting to, they were sporting the afro in the '70s, even though they
Hmm.
weren't part of the Panthers and everything, but they were Panther influenced with the afro picks and everything. This is just generation upon generation upon generation. You see, these people have been around. They just been
Uh,
they haven't. It's just that the technology wasn't always there to let them, express themselves. Now that the technology is
hmm.
here, they've been expressing themselves, but they've been also doing things in a more covert way. I mean, look at it this way. I mean, to use Tommy Sotomayor's reference, this is basically Blade's universe. By the way, Blade by starring Wesley Snipes turned
Hmm.
25 this year.
Hmm. Did it? The
Basically,
first one turned
the
25?
yep,
first movie came
yeah,
out 25
yeah. The
Yeah.
years,
first one, yeah,
19
the first one came out in 1998. Yep.
That's
Late August
crazy.
20. Yeah,
Mm.
in fact, I binge watched the
Hmm.
whole trilogy on
Shout out to
HBO Max.
Marvel. Shout out to a dark skinned black man being the one to hold Marvel down when it was going through his dark period. Because
He was the
Marvel flip
first.
flip upside down. Now DC is Marvel. DC movies, boy.
Don't
DC, I need to
forget,
work on it.
don't forget that year, that time period. Will Smith with the MIB out with the MIB movies and Wild Wild
Mm-hmm.
West. Michael Jai White as Todd
Spawn.
McFarlane's Spawn.
Mm-hmm.
Wesley Snipes as Blade in the 90s.
In other words, are you
Those,
telling me that Black Men saved the action movie industry? Well, not even the
oh,
comic book action movie industry.
let's not forget also Will Smith with Independence Day '96, or
Yep.
him and Martin Lawrence in '95 with Bad Boys. Of
Yeah.
course,
I didn't realize Bad Boys came out that early.
Yeah,
the first
yeah,
Bad
Yeah.
Boy, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
95.
Bad Boys came out in '95. Yeah, that
Yeah.
was
Yeah.
actually one of
Yeah.
the movies I used to see as like believe it or not, as like a small child. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like that and Major Payne and stuff. So
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
yeah,
y'all know I'm a car head, so for me it was all about that Porsche versus Shelby race at the end. But go ahead.
yeah,
Oh yeah, yeah.
yeah,
Now that's how you're
Mm-hmm.
supposed
exactly.
to drive. From now
Mm-hmm.
on, that's like I'm
That's
saying.
how
That's
you
that's
drive.
how you that's how you drive. Go ahead.
And
Yeah.
the second one
Oh,
said that's how I shoot. But as I was
Great.
saying, these
Mm-hmm.
the septum piercing, you guys are so focused on it. You're not looking at it. You're just seeing it for what it is. You only
Mm-hmm.
focus on that, but you're not seeing it for what it is because you're not seeing the history, the progression that comes that followed, that the things that came before it. These people, like I said, have been around, but they've
Pause
been
for the
just
cause
like kind of,
namer. Enemy of the State was definitely a warning ass movie. That was definitely a
oh
warning
yeah,
movie. Mm-hmm. But go
yeah.
ahead. Go ahead. Shout out to the outspoken introvert. Go ahead. Which
Thank
is an
you.
interesting title.
Oh,
Go ahead.
that's spoken introvert. Yeah, yeah. Because
Mm-hmm.
these things are just a progression upon everything. People
Mm-hmm.
need to understand. You have to go back in your history. There's a reason why a lot of people don't realize it is because nobody's looking back in history because we don't learn our history. We keep repeating the same shit.
Mm-hmm.
Think about it.
Naaman, let me. I gotta cut you off because we
Oh, it's
had the
okay. I'm done.
10 hour mark. We had the 10 hour mark over here at the East Coast. So, David, you just came up. I'll let you go, and I think Big Kev wanted to close us out. I don't know if Toya want to say something or better than you, but David, go ahead.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Yes.
Hmm.
So I just want to add something. I know people was talking about the septum ring theory, but
Hmm.
um, back in 2000, around 2010, I moved to the East Coast, and I was living in New York. And I kind of moved to New York because I kind of was kind of tired of the South, and I
Hmm.
felt I would, kind of meet, kindred spirit on the East Coast, and I kind of did. But I, this they call you guys. I guess it's called the septum ring theory.
Hmm.
But I noticed this long time ago. I used to attend these. There would be like it was a book club. It was a bookstore in Harlem, and every week we would have like a book club meeting. It was a black bookstore, and
Okay.
I remember at first it confused the hell out of me. You would see the natural the and now I always make this association. It's messed
Hmm.
up, but I make this association. But we would be, talking, and it always get to black issues. But you would see the girls that were natural, the dark skinned girls, they had
Natural
kind of that
hair.
earthy, yeah, natural hair.
Okay.
They had that earthy look, and
Hmm.
yo, they would be some of the biggest white apologists. Like, and even
Yeah.
some, I mean, you call it bedwitching. I remember one girl, she was with her boyfriend. I was literally, the guy wrote a book,
Hmm.
and he was talking about it. And she was beautiful. I thought she was pretty, but she was there, and we were talking about exclusivity and stuff like that, and how we kind of need to work together. And I kid you not, her boyfriend was sitting right next to her, black dude. Her boyfriend
Hmm.
was standing right next to her, and on three different occasions, she kept saying, "What if I fall in love with an Irish guy? What if I fall in love with an Irish guy? No, we don't need to do that because I might
Mm.
fall." And I was looking, and it threw me off.
Let
But
me let me say this to you real quick, brother David. Hmm.
so
We
that's
have to
and I
be honest about the fact that some of us are with us because we don't think we could do better. We, as a matter, let me take that back, reel it back. Let's be blunt. We know we can't do better. We know, a, I'm with a decent black man, but if I fuck with them white dudes, I'm gonna be with a bum ass white dude.
exact. Well,
So,
here's the thing. Here's the thing. I don't even think it's that. I think it's
mhm,
the fact that if they have a chance, like a lot of brothers got to be careful because these women will sneak a one of these
Mixed baby
Brads
on
in
your
you.
ass.
No,
Yeah.
they would no. You can come home one day and you will find one of these dudes in your bed. I remember the Veganator used to. I remember when
Yep.
that whole
Yep.
thing with
Yep. Yep.
him and Chrissy.
Mhm.
What's her name?
Not
Kerosene came in.
Crystal and Kerosene.
Yeah, and he would brag because he was in the healthcare, and he
Hmm.
would brag how he would be smashing like
Black wit. He
these
was this.
residents.
Here
He's
go
a
real quick. The Veganator, what really killed Crystal and Kerosene, and I want to bring this up because it's very important to the conversation, particularly when we address these swirler divestors, hypergamy level up women. What the Veganator did, I think we still haven't fully. I think the best person to critique it was Jason Black, but I still would think we didn't unpack what the Veganator was really showing. Upper middle class black women who come from two parent households who are engaged with a black man,
yes.
cheating on that black man with the white man who they know is just that. It's just fucking.
Okay, but
And I want. Go ahead.
let me submit to you this, right?
Hmm.
The reason why you will see these a lot of these women, and they because I couldn't figure out why they were infiltrating these black spaces, but I figured something, right?
Hmm.
These spaces are the only places they can do this. I guarantee you, dollars to donuts, that someone like Candace Owens, she only has black friends. She doesn't have white friends because any of us that are even black women, you can ask them this. Any of us that are in these corporate spaces, like you hang around too many white people, especially white women. White women can be some of the most vicious people ever to themselves. And the fact that you're an outlier, they'll do it in a minute to a black girl. So a lot of times, these quote unquote swirlers, divestors, or whatever, they only can poison our spaces. They will
Yeah.
never. I'm sorry, cars running by. They will
Hmm.
never do it, and they will never. I mean, because you would think it's like, why not go over there and be happy? Because they know better. It's like they even look. They can go there kissing, their licking the toe jam from their feet. They will still treat them like crap. Like, and I think every
Yeah.
black, if you notice, watch every swirler. Swirlers don't hang around white people. They hang around other
And I
swirlers,
want to,
or
but even
they can
online,
sneak in.
look. The thing with the Chrissies, this is the thing, and Chrissy tacitly admits this. You can talk all that shit in the black community because white people don't want to hear it. Even the white men you kiss in their ass, even the
Hmm.
white women that you wish you were, they're not trying to hear it. So you gotta come back to the black community to thumb
Exactly.
your nose at black men and to try to wrangle up as many black women to flick the middle finger at black men
But
and then run out the back
but
door.
but the
Go ahead.
reason why they would come into these Pan African spaces because a lot of the mistakes, and this is why you see the Pan African space is a joke now because all these grifters and con artists came because the Pan African space was a space where we were they were accepting to everybody. And
Hmm.
everybody was coming in. It was kind of like trauma bonding, and everybody was coming in, and we would hear everybody. And it was a space. It was really a space to where a black man could come, and black, intelligent black men could come around, and we could, or intelligent black people. But I started to notice that they were they started being infiltrated by this group, and now here's what we have today. I saw this back in
Mm.
2010, and I'll tell you why most black males don't see this. People like you, everybody else on the panel, we see this,
Mhm.
but most black males don't see this because I have a friend, right? And I clown him because I'm like, bro, you invited just because you bought a house or whatever, and just because you're friends with this girl. He lives in Georgia, and he's
Let
quote
me pause
unquote
you real quick,
friends.
David. Let me pause you real quick. Very important because you said they don't see this.
Mhm.
I would argue outside of child support, most black men, and this is when it gets frightening, because
Mhm.
this lets us. We got to be honest about the context of the black manosphere and how small we are relative to the issues that we're dealing with. Most black men outside of child support don't get what's going on. They cannot intellectualize the heft of what
Well,
they're
let me
seeing
postulate.
and what it. Go ahead, go ahead.
Let me postulate why. It's
Hmm.
because like that the guy I know, so we went to school together in New York, and
Hmm.
She was an admitted swirler. And I mean, she gave one of the dumbest reasons. She said black men have weak handshakes. That's why she doesn't date black men, right?
Wait, are you
But
talking about somebody in college, or was this like an adult out of college?
this was we were all in college, so she was
Okay,
I
yeah,
don't know
okay,
20s.
okay.
So
Look, I give passes to 20 some early 20
no, no,
something
no,
year olds
no. But
in
hold on,
college.
hold on, hold on. Fast
Yep, yep.
forward, fast
Mhm,
forward a couple years ago,
mhm,
she found her some. Let me tell you something. This chick is in healthcare. She is working all over the country.
mhm,
He has her living in. A brother could never do this with a sister. He
mhm.
has her living out of a truck because they're living that whole van life. He has her living out of the truck. He doesn't work. She's working, making all the money. She paid for the wedding. She paid for the honeymoon. They went to
Wait
Scandinavia.
a minute, David. Wait. Pause right there. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. You just told me that a black woman married a white man who got her living out of a goddamn vehicle,
Yes, sir. I was
and
shocked
she
myself.
paid
She
for.
bought the fucking truck. That's how much. That's how. I mean, she was like, it's ridiculous, right? But my homeboy, quote unquote, is her friend, right? And he invited her to a housewarming or whatever. Oh, no, 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 they came by because, like I said, she doesn't have any white friends. She doesn't have a white friend. She just has black friends, and she does this like this scurvy scandalous shit. But black men, I think my homeboy is the type of guy. He validates himself with female orbiters, and a lot of brothers are like this. We kind of put our
Hmm.
stock in like how many women we can be around, whether we're sleeping with them or not, whether it's the sexual energy or not. It's that if I wanted to, I could conquer her with my penis. And a lot of
Hmm.
brothers think this way. This is why you'll see dudes posting like, "Oh, Candace Owens can get it. She can get." Dude, Candace Owens is a scoundrel. I wouldn't touch her with a dead man's dick.
Nope.
Okay, but
Hysterical. That's
brothers
funny. Hey,
brothers
wait. Let
brothers
me
don't
ask
see
you
that.
something. Are you ADOS, or are you from the islands? Or your people
Uh,
from the islands?
I'm actually from West Africa.
Like, you know how I knew you weren't from America? When you said I
Right.
wouldn't touch her with a dead man's dick, I was like, that ain't American. We might say some shit like that ain't American.
Well, I usually
That
say
I wouldn't.
I wouldn't touch her with a 10-foot dildo. That's sometimes
Duh,
I say
bro.
that
Like,
too.
see, that's American. But once you said I wouldn't touch it with a dead man's dick, I was like, that ain't ADOS. That's not ADOS.
Pause, I
That
guess.
shit's funny, right? No, but
But
the point is proven. The point stick.
but a lot of
Trust me.
dudes just see her as,
Yeah,
oh, she
y'all gotta
looks
hurry
good.
up because look, Miss Z,
Okay, yeah,
Miss
yeah.
Z
My
is
bad,
like, Miss
my
Z.
bad, my bad. So
Go ahead.
what I'll say is that we keep these treacherous women around us because
Hmm.
we think. I mean, this woman came to his house. She brought her zaddy to his house, and he's cooking for her and everything. I'm like, yo, this woman will throw you under the bus the second she gets a chance. But we don't see these
Hmm.
things because we just see them as, oh, does she look good? I can potentially sleep with her or whatever. But nah, that's what I would say. Like I said, it's to the point where when I see a dude, and I think most of us on this panel, we love black women, we love brown skin, dark skin, all of that. Problem is when I see a girl with a chick with natural hair, dark skin, it's almost too good to be true. And the first thing that goes to my mind is swirler. That's the first thing I think about. It is fucked up, but I've just that's it's pattern recognition. In fact, I'll be honest with you. Sometimes you'll look at the lighter skinned women and I know why. You look at the lighter skinned women or biracial, and they've never been traumatized by their blackness. So they're more comfortable with their blackness, and they don't do as much as you see. I mean, because you would think the blacker the berry, the stronger the roots and everything. Nah, these are some of the most fragile, self-hating. Like it's ridiculous. So
But
I,
they're
I'll stop there.
outside. Here you go, David. There's just something to think about. And I'm guessing you're younger than me. I'm in my well, approaching my late 30s, my mid 30s.
Mhm.
We are dealing with outside women, right? When I say that, I mean like outside group women. And they're not white women. So when you see Asian women, Latina women, Black women, Indigenous women move in a certain way, remember they're out group women. They're out-group women, bro. You know what I'm saying? I'm not saying that for you to be sympathetic necessarily, but I'm saying the way they move, the way they speak, the way they advocate, the way they dress, it's predictable.
Okay, but
They're
do
out-group
you know how hard
women.
that makes it to date now?
No, no,
Like
no.
there's a guy.
Let me put it this way. I can guess how bad it is because it was an ordeal to even meet my lady. Before that, I had to go through the mud, right? So I understand what you're saying, and what I'm
th-
saying is this is where Passport Bros and SYSBM, excuse me, come in because I understand, and I'm grappling with the idea of how lucky I am, quite frankly. And even if we don't end up working out, let's say we don't end up working out, to the fact that I ended up with an ADOS woman who's from a two-parent household, whose parents have been married for 40 years, over 40 years at this point, actually, for 40 years, and we're making it work, right? We're not married yet, but we're making it work. I get what you're saying. What I'm saying is out-group women are going to out-group women, and they're going to say and advocate and move in ways that are, which is interesting because they want to be in-group women, but they speak as if they are antithetical to being in-group
Aspirational
women.
assimilation.
Yeah,
That's the terminal.
oh, beautiful.
Aspirational assimilation.
There we go.
Um,
Yeah,
there,
there,
there's
there,
clip it,
there's
clip it. Aspirational assimilation. So thank you, Big Cat, for that. And that's what it is. And that, as a matter of fact, when you
there's
hear
a
them speak about men and masculinity, you get that twofer where they appreciate that black men aren't these patriarchs, but then they want black men to be these patriarchs so that we can put them in the position to be upper middle class white women. So they actually understand these people don't actually want boss hog, bitch bow down as black men. They don't want that. But they speak like they want that oftentimes because they want to be
they just want
upper
us
middle
to give
class
them
white women.
they want us to give them access. That's all.
Yes,
And
that's exactly,
they will
exactly.
yes,
they want us to they want us to be that coat that lies in the puddle that they can step on to get access into. That's all. They'd rub their feet
Wait
on
a
it.
minute. I agree with
Bro,
you, man.
you gotta
I
look
agree
at
with
it.
you. I agree with you. I laugh, but
There's a
that's true.
channel. What's this guy's name? Nefakari. He does
Mhm.
a channel where every video he's exposing. Like I didn't even know. Like, cause I don't have a Twitter account, but I didn't even know if you're dating a chick, go to her Twitter account and like these are women, and you look at them like, man, she's not bad looking. You go to her Twitter account, it is all kinds of self hate. Oh, God bless me with a, and I'm just like, wow. Like it's almost like I said, I can't shut my brain off now to where when I look at her,
Let me
I
say
don't.
something extra random because of what PK said in the comments, right? Toya killed me. Did Toya said this over maybe an hour ago? Toya killed me with the my cooking hand is strong. That shit, that she said that shit a while ago, and I keep on coming to that in my mind because the shit was so funny. Because I told her Southern niggas would have ate her up. Like if she was here when she was heavy set, it wouldn't mean nothing to us. It wouldn't be if you was in
Mrs.
South
Z,
Florida, if you was south of the Mason Dixon line when you were heavy, Toya, that wouldn't mean shit to nobody.
This is
well,
facts.
excuse me, Mrs. Z. Hold
Yeah,
on.
go ahead.
There's a
Mhm.
reason I said that. There's a reason, like I said earlier about big girls. They have to
And
be
Big
better
Cat, and so I
cooks.
mean not Big Cat. Better you said this is facts. Exactly, this is facts
Yeah.
for real. Go ahead.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, Z,
Mhm.
I
Mhm.
need you to scroll up because I need you to find that comment by Terrell Bentley. It's the one before the
I can't because
turning
remember
green about the throat.
when I got kicked out my comments started off with the first comment I posted with Toya, so I can't see
Okay.
anything before that right now. So my apologies to
Okay.
anyone.
No.
I can't even see whatever super chats y'all posted.
Okay.
I can't see
No, no.
anything before
Yeah.
that
Well,
comment.
let me
Hmm.
quote what he said because I got to
Hmm.
give him props for this one because
Hmm.
thank you, dude, for giving me my props. It said here, black dude skinny 1 and the big girl round 0. You damn right.
Hey, that's the stereotypical relationship in the hood.
Well, that's true. But like I said, they have to be better cooks and everything. I
Hmm.
know, sister. She was like about 5'3".
Hmm.
She could have been at least 200. She was a big girl by nature. She was just naturally just large. But she had a bubbly personality and she had this one of those amazing smiles. And she was dark skinned. But man, that girl could cook. But
Let me answer what PK said here. PK said I got you, Toya, but hopefully you didn't pay for Brad and switch up. I don't see Toya doing that. I
Shit.
really don't. I don't see.
All right.
Hey, you know what
Also,
type of Brad you would have to be?
yeah.
Hey, and then
Also,
also
And
too.
I wouldn't do it in public. I'll tell you that.
good move. Good move.
Dude, I remember.
Toya
I
gonna be
remember
over
at the.
here sashaying around with her. Let me see. What's the most
You think she's gonna be
basic?
like Lonnie Love?
No, no. Toya wouldn't. Toya would disappear from the Black Manosphere if she did that shit. She would change her name and her
That's a whole
identity and
fact.
everything.
That's
I'm
a
kidding. I'm
whole
kidding. I'm
fact.
kidding.
Yeah.
My pride wouldn't allow me to.
Yeah,
Good move. Good
no.
move.
Because that's not. First of all, if it's a Brad, it got to be someone that we would be like, all right, we get it, we get it. And like, if it ain't no Leonardo DiCaprio, Brad Pitt ass Brad, then you know,
He would have to be
no.
exceptional. and-
What's Buddy Rowe name from Superman? Cavill as
Henry
Brad.
Cavill. Henry Cavill.
Yeah,
Henry Cavill. Yeah.
yeah.
Oh,
If it's not that, then yeah, we don't understand. Why did you do this?
and then
I just.
then
Go
Oh,
ahead.
go ahead, Big
Go ahead.
Kev.
Big Kev, Nema, and then we gotta do like final statements and really like final statements, and then like not no whole paragraph, but a whole sentence, and
Okay.
then we close it out. Go ahead. Go.
Okay.
Hey, look, I'm not trying to get hit with no pen. Okay, go ahead.
Okay, so a few things, and I'm gonna kind of make my closing statement early. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
so to the point of the title. Okay, there's actually I actually posted a collection of videos on my own channel. It's called "The
Mm-hmm.
Misconception of Ancient Spirituality" by Bobby Hemmett, and one of the key taglines he said in that like 5-part video series I posted was "One man's God is another man's devil." Okay,
Mm-hmm.
so to what David said earlier. Okay. And I've said this repeatedly in Ed's Discord. I said this, here on Mr. Z's channel. I'm like, the very difficult thing that a lot of people don't want to accept is that, at least David, I know that you're from West Africa, but when it comes to so-called ADOS, so-called black people here,
Mm-hmm.
okay, most of the people here that claim to be pro-black, okay, Hotep, feminists, etc., and what have you, they're only doing that for 3 reasons. Okay, number one, they want to justify why they ran the streets. Number two, they do it as a way of promoting female supremacy.
Uh-oh.
Okay, or number three is that it's a roundabout way of chasing white validation. So that's what happens, David. Okay, most of these people nowadays claim to be pro-black, hotep, feminists, etc. These people spent their late teens, 20s, and early 30s in the streets, promoting and coddling and pedestalizing women, or chasing after white validation, and they have nothing to show for it except bills, debt, and broken relationships. So now, as a way of reinventing themselves as a moral authority figure, David, they want to try
BDB, bills, debt, and broken relationships.
right. They want
Hysterical.
to recreate themselves as Oswald Bates from In Living Color. You know what I mean? To hide the fact that pretty much they pretty much threw away.
You're right, because
15 to 20 years of their adult life, on some bullshit. So
you're right, because I noticed that when because I got into it. You got to understand, I went to high school overseas, so when I came back, you see these clubs and it says African on it, so naturally you kind of gravitated to it. But I couldn't. I was like, why is everybody like? They seem like failures. Like everybody's failed in life, and they weren't really trying to push themselves. And to me, that seems like the
Look, Bruce Wayne then hit me up in Creole and said, "Fini live, no, which is like finish the live already." So look, Bruce Wayne said, "Y'all need to hurry up." Go ahead, Bruce Owen Wayne. Shout out to Batman, but go ahead, y'all.
No, so that's all I was saying. That's it.
Okay.
I'll be last.
Yeah. Oh yeah, and then the second thing I wanted to say before I wrap it up here is that when it comes to these things like septum piercings and whatnot and colored hair and stuff, these are not new things, because these are part of like indigenous customs like around the world. But the problem is nowadays is that women back then exactly, they're bastardized because women back then
co-opted.
did it. Exactly, because they're
that
doing
one
it.
too. Yeah, that's even a better statement than what I said. Co-opted.
Exactly, because women back then did it as a form of social adherence. Say, for example, okay, all the women get like a tattoo on their arm. So as a part of this tribe, you get a tattoo on your arm as well. Or hey, all the women in this tribe, they all color their hair red. So hey, you color your hair red too. You know what I mean? That type of thing. Whereas nowadays, yeah,
Shouts out to Hindus and India.
exactly. Nowadays, it's being co-opted to signify mental illness and hypersexuality. You know.
Goddamn, Toya, I had every right mind to make you the closer, and you done left.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
So that's the problem when that's the issue that people are running into when it comes to what they call the septum ring theory and whatnot. It's not
Mhm.
necessarily the piercings and the tattoos and the colored hair. It's the fact that, like you guys are saying, it's been bastardized and co-opted instead of being a form of social adherence based off of tribal customs and culture. Nowadays, it's being co-opted simply as a means of signifying, subconsciously signifying mental illness and hypersexuality. So, you
Mm.
know, hey,
No,
it's
no,
sad, but it's real.
I agree with you. Look, this is my argument, and I'm gonna cut everybody off. I'm gonna be my last closer, so I'm gonna just shut it down now. And shout out to y'all for coming up. This is my argument. If y'all notice how Mr. Z speaks, I don't actually tell people what to do necessarily, right? But I will tell you what the consequences are based off of what my experiences is as a black man born and raised in America with very strong
Also the closer.
ADOS links. I'm not ADOS, but y'all hear the way I speak. Y'all see, like, for all intents and purposes, I'm as close as you get to ADOS. That's not right because of the way I was raised. The fact that my mom came here at a very not early age, but like mid teens, right? Grew up and went to high school here and whatnot, and my dad was still here for like the ending part of on paper Jim Crow as the state started to repeal certain Jim Crow rules. Not the Fed. The Fed got rid of a lot of stuff in the 60s, but as the state started to repeal stuff in the 70s.
Okay.
So that gave me a certain worldview. That worldview informs much of what I know and I see and I understand, especially based off of what I know about American history and Western history in general, but definitely American history. When
My closing.
you real quick, when you look at what's going on between black men and black women, particularly in the American context, but what I see is this is reflected in some of the conversation they're having in Britain, and their dynamic is a bit different because their black population is really informed by Nigerians and Jamaicans who are fourth, third, fourth, maybe even fifth generation um Brits. The West and the way black people coming from descendants of slaves, the way we think about man-woman relationship and we try to meld together patriarchal notions of masculinity informed by white folks while also still trying to hold on to a more egalitarian understanding of man-woman relations informed by mainly white West African in this respect culture. It ain't working. It's not, because we want to piece together. When I say we, y'all really know I'm talking about the women. When we try to piece together the egalitarian concepts coming from West African culture, and I know we're talking about hundreds of tribes and whatnot, but still dozens, if not hundreds of tribes. The egalitarian relationship that black men and black women had with each other in West Africa, not only pre-colonialization, but even during colonialization, versus this concept of like white man ultra provider so that he could shut his wife up. That shit ain't working, and the fallout is a Chrissy, is a Yanni, because Yanni don't really want to be with the baller nigga that tell her, yeah, you got your money, you making your YouTube money, I don't give a fuck, shut the fuck up. She don't want to be with that dude. She doesn't want to be with that dude. And I want to be very clear. The man that has it like that, Yanni, he ain't gonna say shut the fuck up. His energy is though. He is not going to say it verbally. His energy is though. Same thing with Chris. Chrissy is running into that wall too, bitch. You in your late 30s. You don't got no man because the baller niggas, and that's even if you got the look. The baller niggas ain't talking. You see what I'm saying? Like we run into the wall of our worldview and then we ignore it. You run into the wall of your worldview, right?
Right.
And then you
Okay.
start talking shit, right? So at the end of the day, what I think I'm saying, whether I covered the same sex loving relationships, whether I covered what Melissa Ford said, whether I covered what Mooney said on this coverage, on his coverage of, you know, the Japanese and them kind of losing themselves. Modernity has really put a foot in our ass, especially over the past, give or take 60, 70 years. And it's something that we're going to have to grapple with, especially as Black people, especially as Black Americans, for those of us on the continent of America, North America in particular, the USA. This is something that we're going to have to grapple with. What are we to do as human beings, technologically advanced to the point where we may not need each other in that way? So this is where we get into the Mouse Utopia project. What are we supposed to do to maintain biological nuclear families, right? We're not, I don't think we're going to default back into the tribe model where it's a tribe raising the children as much as Black women want. What I assume or what I think we're going to do is we're going to get to a place where everything is everything for the people on the bottom, but yet the people on top still practice nuclear family values and they pass on their wealth to their children who
See,
are
I gotta cut
also
you off
in
because she's in
nuclear
the kitchen.
families. Go ahead, real quick. Go ahead.
She's in the kitchen. So let me give the final statement here so we can close this. As somebody said, oh, 18th, you came in too late, man. We'll discuss it maybe offline.
Mhm.
As somebody who said the realest shit in here, I know a lot, and as a dick, and I admit I'm a dick and I'm a master pissing people off. So understand, a lot of people, including Mr. Z, are gonna be thinking about me and get pissed off at a motherfucker when their woman wants them to hit it from the back. Not my
Hysterical.
fault. Good night. Wait, and also, PK, we gotta talk about chicks and piercings in some time, dude.
Yeah, no, we will. And like Tori said, I'm not against nose rings or any look, as Black
It's
people,
just
I
pattern
understand.
recognition. That's all.
Yeah, and exactly pattern. Thank you. As 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 a Black man born and raised in America, I understand the symbols of like "fu" to the system. I get it.
Yeah.
I completely understand, and that's why on the surface, I'm not against some of this face piercing, jewelry, art, whole sleeve tattoos, and etc. Even white folks are engaging in the "fu" to the system type of um imagery, right?
Tattoos
I
across their
understand.
throats.
I have to go to you for the money and to sustain myself. But don't think that means that I adhere to the rules and the norms of this system.
Hmm.
Which is funny because the system then turns around and be like, but you still playing my game though. Right? So I get it. I completely understand. What we're speaking about is whether this is even bigger than just a FU to the system and whether it's a FU to Black men in particular for not being white men while you claim that you don't want patriarchs, but then you end up with patriarchs. So, these are things to consider, and
Because
I
these
just
people
want to
will
put that in.
drive a knife in your back when you're not looking.
Oh
Oh
yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah. Because the
They
way
will
you
drive a
think
knife
about
in your back.
blackness and the way they think about blackness is different. The way
Exactly. And
you
and
the
and
way
me
you think about being loyal to even to Black women you don't even fuck with
naturally, men,
different than
we
them.
let our guard down around women. We
Hmm.
naturally do. So they, like I said, like she's talking about nose ring, and I'll close this. I'm just saying, like, dude, dude, I would love a woman that is natural hair, dark skin, nice. But like I said, when I see that natural hair and I see dark skin, I'm sorry, I've just met too many bedwitches, and I'm just like, okay, does she hate herself? If she grew up in this country, does she
Hmm.
hate the fact? So y'all call it the septum ring theory. Dude, I've been seeing it with natural hair because, like I said, those Chad doesn't want to weave. Like I don't know if y'all
Let,
saw that movie.
let me say this, David. Let me say this because it was something you said. The September. So me and my the hatred of self. Me and my best friend got into this conversation, this debate, and it's actually kind of an ongoing debate. I argue that these people don't hate these women don't hate themselves, they hate us. They excuse me, they may have
Gesundheit.
somewhat they may have somewhat of an inferiority complex and thank you.
Well, that's what I mean, inferiority complex.
But I don't think they
Inferiority
hate
complex.
themselves necessarily,
You
but I
don't?
do see them excuse me,
It has to be.
I don't necessarily see them hating
Gesundheit.
themselves, but having a real issue with us as black men. And the
Bro,
fact that we haven't
bro,
made them white women.
bro, we were all, and look, I know we got close, but we were all behind Serena Williams. When I saw her crying at Indian Wells when they gave her that sentence, I was like, yo, this girl's gone. I mean, and we say how she moves now. So no, it is self hatred. It is inferior comp, dude. She would do anything. That's all she ever wanted. You can look
But
at someone like that and
Serena
think
and
this.
Venus are very unique because you have to understand that Serena and Venus got to run into white power. You got to remember, like how prestigious tennis is. They got
Yeah, but they were beating everybody,
yeah.
and
No,
they
no,
had
no.
they
You're
had a
right. You're right.
strong male
No,
figure
that's my point.
behind them.
That's my point.
So
That's my point.
you would think, so
White
that even
supremacy
even even with
outmaneuver.
even with the support, it wasn't enough for them.
No, here's what I'm saying. White supremacy outmaneuvered their dad in one way. They still made themselves seem more prestigious than anything black people are saying or doing. White supremacy outmaneuvered their dad to say, look how much your dad got to fight to protect you from us. And that's very powerful. That imagery on a little girl is very powerful. So as Serena and Venus get older, yes, their dad, their black dad, and him protecting himself from the white media, white racist sports stars, etc. Yeah, they're seeing that, but they're not under. Let me say this. I think they don't fully appreciate how racist this entire system is, and
Don't
how
forget their
that
mom.
that then affects the way they view white men and white power to end up with white men seeking white validation, right? You know,
Don't forget their mom also, Z. Because remember, the parents were divorced.
Yeah, but still, she's had
facts.
a strong enough. Look, man, they spent a good amount of time in Compton, and then they grew up, and like it was always in them. And the question you got to ask yourself: do these women have agency of their own? Because if they can have all these things in their favor, and they still somehow, some way, cannot find it within themselves, like Cat Williams said, it's self. They call it self-esteem for a reason. There's only so much you can do.
It's esteem of your motherfucking self. Yeah.
There's
That's
only
one of
so
my
much you
favorite
can
parts.
do.
Yeah.
You said it
Look,
wrong,
y'all.
fellas.
I'm gonna end it out. I'm gonna end it out here.
Let's
So
chop
we'll
it up
pause right
offline,
here,
fellas.
real quick, David. I'm gonna end it out here because I gotta go. We're gonna pause
Get
right
well
here.
soon.
Love, peace, and chicken grease. We'll pause right here. Y'all have a great rest of y'all night. Go check out other Black Manosphere content, other non-Manosphere
Look out,
content.
Z. She's got Japan.
Hysterical, right? Exactly. And we'll pause right here. Y'all have a great rest of y'all night. Thank you for everybody that
Don't
was
hit
up
it
on
from
the
the
panel.
back.
Shout out to everybody that was up on the panel. And we will end it here. And y'all have a great rest of y'all night. If anything, maybe we'll do an open panel again tomorrow so that we can finish up some of these thoughts and ideas. But as for now, Mr. Z is out. All right, y'all. Y'all have a great rest of your night.
Yeah, have a
Don't
good
hit
one.
it from the back.
Peace.